Well, hello, welcome wherever you are joining us around the world. Welcome to Leicester Square here in London. Incredible scenes. It's not a movie premiere. It's not Hollywood. It's not Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise. It's bigger. It's the Riyadh season card, Wembley Stadium edition, Saturday night. Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois, 96,000 people will descend on Wembley Stadium for the IBF World Heavyweight Championships. Tonight is all about the grand arrivals on a grand location here in Leicester Square. And I'm joined by a little bit of Hollywood here. How about it? Mr. Andy Clark, great to see you. Matt Macklin, great to see you. And Johnny Nelson, how are we?
You got that jacket on again. You had that in Saudi.
Come on. Yeah, to be fair, I've been wearing it a little bit too much. Johnny, I'm gonna start with you. I've watched you. I've been watching you walking around like, this is amazing, isn't it? We're Leicester Square at the beginning of a fight week. Amazing times.
What an iconic place to have it in London, in the capital city. The sky's clear. The fans are out there. People just walking around thinking, is this for real? Who's the star coming through? What a setup to advertise such a massive fight. This fight, 96,000 people, you say, at Wembley Stadium. There's no other fans like the British fans. And when you've got two Brits pulling in 96,000 people, somebody's going to be under pressure. Now, we know Anthony Joshua's been there before 2016 when you saw him walk in with Klitschko. We thought, can this kid handle the pressure? Now he's a man, he's 35 next. Danny Dubois, 27 years old. No matter what he's gone through, nothing prepares you for such an occasion. This will be a taster, just a little taste of it, until we start rolling on, and then it'll show how big it is. And then it's about that, because everything he's done in the gym doesn't matter. Now it's about that. Keep me that intact.
Oh, I love it. Matt, there's been, you've been involved in so many fight weeks, both as a fighter and as a broadcaster. Have you seen anything like this before to kick off?
Probably not. I mean, Mayweather-McGregor was big as an event,
yeah.
But it didn't have the significance of boxing. It was a bit of an exhibition bout, really, wasn't it? So, I'm trying to think. Mayweather-Hatton was big, but again, that was in Vegas. This is here in London, Leicester Square. It probably didn't probably have quite. I'm trying to. I don't know. Maybe that's the closest to it, probably.
You meant to just say no straight away. No.
I know. I'm too honest. No, do you know what? This is probably the biggest. Honestly, it really is. But I think that's the heavyweight. That heavyweight just gives it that extra bit, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And Andy, listen, we've done so many grand arrivals together before. We'll be in about half hour's time. The fighters will be arriving on the purple carpet. They'll be speaking to the media. What are you expecting today?
I'm just expecting to see fighters really enjoy this, because they did the sit-down interviews yesterday, that first duty of the week fulfilled, and from this point onwards, things just day by day generally tend to get a bit more serious. Their mood will darken, their demeanour will change, they're making weight, most of them, so that plays a part. I think they can enjoy this tonight. It's a nice cool evening, the weather's absolutely perfect, it won't take very long, it's new for them as well. For the ones who it is really new for, you've got to take a minute to look around you and soak it in and make sure you enjoy what you're doing, because it's really easy for athletes, particularly at the top end, to get to the end of their career and realise that they didn't really enjoy it as much as they should have done, and particularly in boxing, because it's so hard. You've got to take the enjoyment when you can.
And what Andy's saying is spot on, but it's easier said than done. When you're on fight week, listen, it's all right for the heavyweights. They can eat what they want. They don't have to worry about cutting weight and all that. But if you're, I don't know, for example, Cacace now and against Warrington, they're both making weight this week. So it's not as easy to be in the moment, to be present. You just want to get to Friday and weigh in and then, get to the fight. So, look, he's right, though. That's what you do need to try and do. You need to try and soak
I remember when Nas was fighting Kevin Kelly in New York. And then when all the boys, we were all there with him, but when he was a big deal, a massive deal, and Nas would get frustrated because he'd be having to behave himself, and we'd be running about all over the place, enjoying the day, enjoying the atmosphere. And so when you're the fighter, it's the hardest thing. I suppose it's like being in a glass cage. You see everybody else enjoying the trappings of such a massive occasion, but unfortunately, you can't really take it in because you're on a little bubble.
I was just thinking, when it was like when Johnny mentioned that, I thought, deja vu, Hatton Mayweather. Ricky's there thinking about weight, the pressures of can he beat Mayweather, all this going on. I was loving it. On a Wednesday, all the lads are coming in, flight, people are landing from London, Manchester. I'm loving it. So, the teams get to enjoy it, but the actual fighter, He's just got to try and relax, but remain focused.
If you want a little flavour of that, you just need to watch 24/7.
Don't do it.
You'll see a scene in one of the episodes where they burst into a bedroom unannounced, and Macklin's kind of just lying half dressed on the bed, sort of lifts his head, sort of. He'd been on a night out. Yeah, he'd been on a night out, as he was perfectly entitled to. He wasn't fighting.
Oh yeah, more than entitled. But Anthony Joshua, right? This is his third fight at Wembley Stadium. In theory, he's seen it all before. He's done it all before. He's done big fight weeks. He should be okay with things like this, right, Johnny?
He's 35 next. Heavyweights, they say this is when they mature. This is when they come into their own. This is when they're settled with their weight, their experience, everything who they are. Anthony Joshua being a hero, put down to a zero, criticised and praised. He's been there. He's where Daniel Dubois is. So at this stage in Anthony Joshua's career, quite all the questions have been asked. Now it's just for him to answer them. Every box has to be ticked. He's seen every side of boxing. You should actually be aiming these at Daniel Dubois. How is he going to handle the pressure? How is he going to feel if the fight's going one way or another? Because Anthony Joshua, we've seen him rise and fall. We've seen him rise again. We've seen what he's come around. He seems to have just matured. How he spoke this week, I just see a more mature man that's actually reflecting on what's happened in his career in the past, what he's learned from, what he appreciates about himself, what he has to do. There's no more questions left for Anthony Joshua. I think the questions are all about Daniel Dubois, what he's got.
I mean, it's not totally a dissimilar situation to Klitschko against AJ, which was 7 years ago at Wembley Stadium. Klitschko was the man, been there, done it before. AJ was the young lion coming through, wasn't he? And there was a changing of the guard, and I wonder, will there be a changing of the guard, on Saturday night? We'll see.
How much is age a factor here? As we mentioned, Anthony Joshua, 35 next month. Daniel Dubois just turned 27. There's a bit of an age gap there. Could that play a factor in this fight?
I think it could do, but maybe not in the way that people might think, because the way I think that could be a factor is that now Dubois is 27. He's that bit more experienced. I don't think the physicality of being 7 years younger will really make too much difference, because Anthony's in great shape, and as Johnny said, as you get older as a heavyweight, that erosion of skills isn't quite as rapid as it is at the lower weights. But for Dubois, for a long time we were waiting for him to really believe that he could do this, weren't we? And we were wondering whether he would ever really get to that point where he believed that he could do this. I think he does believe it now. Self-belief by itself isn't enough to get you across the line at this level, but without it, you will definitely lose. And the last couple of fights, he seems to have matured and just found that self-belief, and also that I couldn't give a attitude as well. Because this stuff, he might look a bit awkward tonight because he'll be a little bit of a fish out of water. He might look a bit awkward and even slightly nervous at times during the week, but I don't think it really means anything. He just wants it to be over and for the bell to ring.
Well, I just think he's probably a more awkward personality.
Yeah, I think so.
Joshua is probably a bit introvert, isn't he? He's not the most outgoing person, so I'd say he finds this stuff tedious. But in the ring, if you look at his current form, his last two wins are the best probably wins of his career. Certainly the best opponent, Hrgovic, and he had to come through a bit of fire there. So, self-belief comes from the action that you put in, and the performances in his last couple of fights will have given him that self-belief. So, like I said, I think it's coming at a good time for Dubois. But, Joshua has looked good recently too, so it's a good fight.
I'd actually say Dubois' style suits a young man. When you get in your 30s, you start to slow down and settle into your style. It doesn't, that style, I couldn't see that style aging, because he gets hit too much now as a young man. So when you get a bit slow and you're a bit more flat-footed, you think more about your style of fight. That style, so he's got to make hay now while he's in his mid-20s, because as he gets older, that style is not going to do him any favours, because he'll not be as fleet-footed, he'll not be as mobile. There was a similar style to Mike Tyson. His style suited a younger man. The older he got, the more he got hit, and then eventually the more he got beat. For Anthony Joshua, his style, he's now saying, I've got a box, I can punch, I'm not scrapping. So his style actually ages better, like a fine wine, it ages better.
I've heard people talking about, within the last few performances, we're starting to see the old AJ. But actually, are we seeing a completely new AJ who might be better than ever? What do we think?
Well, I think definitely a more refined AJ. You know what I mean? He's more experienced now. It's probably took him a while to get here. He's had losses, he's made adjustments, he's changed trainers. So you're working on things you haven't quite got. You can get caught between where you were and where you want to be. I think he's probably where he's wanted to be, and even fine-tuning that, even now, I think the move to the Ben Davison's been a good one for him. He believes in Ben Davison. He's had 2 fights with him. They've been really, is it 2 or 3? 2, I think. They've been really good performances. So he's believing in his team coming into this fight.
So, but let's address the obvious though. Those 2 good performances, you've got to look at the level of opponent. So that level of opponent, you'd expect that from Anthony Joshua, no matter where he is. You want to see how good he's matured, how much he really believes in himself in probably a fight like this against somebody that's a bit of a live wire, wants it, really fancies it. So now I think we should see the fruition of that settlement, that change in Anthony Joshua to say, right, this is what I can do. I'm showing you I'm world class. Because then remember, Daniel Dubois, he got beat by Usyk, but you know he's had a pretty good run recently. So AJ's got to show I'm head and shoulders above all those people. You know, this guy here that's picked up the IBF title via the post. I'm making it quite clear now. I'm a real deal.
Which kind of begs the question: has AJ ever faced anyone like Daniel Dubois in his whole career?
You could argue not, because he is very explosive, Dubois, as Johnny was alluding to there, and he is a massive puncher. These are the 2 biggest punchers in the sport currently, because Wilder, I think, has conceded that mantle. He hasn't really landed anything the last couple of fights, so there's some incredible deadly force on show here. And that's the really interesting thing, because I do feel like Joshua, he lost his way, starting with the Ruiz defeat and also with Usyk. He lost his identity a bit. He became a bit confused about what he is as a fighter, basically, and he was overthinking things. What he's rediscovered with Ben Davison is that conviction to commit to the punch, to hold your feet that split second longer and not worry so much about what is coming back. Because the reality at heavyweight particularly is, if you want to knock them out, and they're all looking to win by knockout, you have to hold your feet for that split second. In that split second, you could get knocked out yourself. But that's the game you're in. And you just have to accept it. For a while he didn't. He was looking to throw a punch and pull off it as he threw it, which meant that he didn't have that snap, he didn't have that power. So he's rediscovered that. But what we don't know still is what happens when somebody rattles him. If somebody gets on top of him and catches him clean, what happens then?
So my argument's been, I think Daniel Dubois is very good at remembering. He's not good at thinking in the mid-fight. And the difference there is that if something happens that you're not expecting, you've got to be able to think smart and sharp out of that situation. I don't think Daniel Dubois has shown he's capable of doing that yet. Hopefully it'll come eventually. Whereas Anthony Joshua, he has showed he can think in a fight. You know, the second time when he boxed Usyk, I actually think he performed a lot better. I think it was probably one of his better performances, but he went in against the better man. So you can see this man is now thinking on his feet. I've got to do this. I've got to try that. So, and that's a successful fight. You've got to be able to think on the spot, because everything you do in the gym will not be everything won't fall in that order. So you've got to be thinking smart.
Well, if you argue that he's not thinking so much in the ring, Daniel Dubois, one thing he is starting to do is listen out to the voice of his father, who has made his way into the corner now in the last couple of fights.
I think that's a chink. I think it's a chink, because yes, his father's a great motivational factor, but I remember when he was sat in the corner, his dad was shouting, grabbing his attention. When you're a fighter, your trainer, when you're in the gym with the trainer's the one he's the boss. Do this, do that, do this. The roles change the second you step up those stairs. And when the bell goes, you're the boss. The trainer's the guy that guides you. Do that. Maybe try this. Maybe try that. Motivates you. Try this. Try that. And he's not taking ownership of that position he's in when he's in the ring. Because when he's looking down for help outside the ring, when the bell goes, it's the loneliest place in the world. And so that, I understand you need that motivational factor, but you also need to take responsibility for who you are and what you're capable of doing. His dad's having to remind him of that. And until his dad doesn't have to do that and he actually knows who he is, there will always be a problem.
What is your read on that, Matt? The Daniel Dubois' father, in the Baby Miller fight, he was brought to the corner. Frank Warren said, come here, go and tell him what to do. And Daniel Dubois came through in that fight after some sticky moments. Johnny says perhaps it's a chink, perhaps it's a hindrance, but we are seeing the results as win-win. What are your thoughts?
We can only go on the results as you've seen them, and so far it's worked out. But I also understand where Johnny's coming from, what he's saying. He's saying Daniel, at this stage in his career, should have enough belief in himself that he doesn't need to be reminded by his dad, this is who you are. But, you know, everyone's different, and maybe he does need that, and maybe that works for them. That works for him. You know, the father-son relationships within boxing have been. There's been a lot of them. Some of them have worked brilliantly. Some of them haven't worked out as well. So, you know, so far his dad's been a positive influence. You know, on Saturday night against AJ, who knows?
I think one thing about that too is that I think Don Charles has managed that relationship really well, and it actually works because the trainer and the dad can clash. There was the endless debate about Sugar Hill and John Fury, for example, after Fury against Usyk, but I think Don has recognised that Daniel needs his dad near the corner, so he's now actually nominated second. He's actually part of that team, and he's closer to the corner, and so they don't really clash, and it's not really a problem in that regard.
Yeah, so the problem is this: when it happened with Tyson Fury and his old man, if the result is in your favour, it's all good. If it's not in your favour, the old man gets the blame. The confusion in the corner gets the blame. And so far with Dubois' situation, the results have worked. But if he'd got turned over against Herdigovich, his dad would have got the blame. You know, and it's all the confusion. What's going on? There should be one voice in the corner. If you're going to give Tyson Fury stick in that same situation, and we're going to criticise that, we've got to criticise this. I understand his daddy. He rules that young man to say, look, this is where I want your head. I know what you're capable of doing. Daniel Dubois needs to rule himself, get in there and think, right, Dad, I appreciate it, I get it, but I've got to have the same belief you have in me.
Well, Don Charles is the trainer of Daniel Dubois, and Don Charles actually has history with Anthony Joshua. He's spoken about how he knows Anthony Joshua's boxing DNA, and if he knows how to help make it, he knows how to help break it. What do you think about Don Charles' presence in the corner of Daniel Dubois against a man that he knows very well in Anthony Joshua?
I don't think that's going to play too big a part, to be honest. I think Don's a good trainer. He's been around a long time. I think he's absolutely right for Daniel. That's all that really matters, because I remember talking to Shane McGuigan about this, and obviously he trained Daniel Dubois, enjoyed training him, but when he went to Don, he said, look, I understand that, because Don's kind of the same age as Daniel's dad, and it's that arm round the shoulder, coax it out of him, yes, you can do this kind of repetition, and I think that's why that relationship, allied with Don's knowledge and experience, I think that's why it works. As for knowing Anthony inside out, I think a lot of people would probably claim that, to be honest with you, because he's grown up in front of our eyes, hasn't he? And on the London scene, and Don's been there for a long time, he will have seen him, he will have been close to him. I don't know exactly how close or for what duration, all that kind of thing. Fellow Nigerians, so, you know, he probably feels like he's got an insight into his mentality a little bit in that regard too, but I don't see that being a big thing, to be honest with you.
What a journey it's been for both fighters. These are both fighters who, you referenced it earlier, they've sort of gone hero to zero and now approaching heroism again, really, especially the winner on Saturday night. They become a bit of a hero. National Stadium knocking out the other guy, 96,000 people. These are two heavyweights on proper journeys, Johnny.
You know what, we'll not. These are times, we're being spotted at the moment. And we've got to appreciate this, all of this. We've got to appreciate the build-up. We've got to appreciate Saturday night. We've got to appreciate a city coming together, a country coming together to put on such an amazing event. And both Daniel Dubois and Anthony Joshua, they also will look back at this stage in their career and think, wow, that was me. That was me. And it's a big deal. As an ex-fighter, you look back at situations, you think, wow. You look at big fights when Lennox Lewis boxed Frank Bruno. You look back now, that's our history. You know, part of our boxing history. At the time, you didn't appreciate how important, how big it was. This is big. It's a big deal. This is bragging rights. This puts the UK on the map. This puts London's iconic places on the map. Two British fighters getting 96,000 people inside there. It can't get any bigger than this.
It can't, can it, Matt? Really?
No. Well, I was just thinking of the Lewis Bruno fight, and that was huge at the time. Yeah. But this, you know, 96,000 people way surpasses it. You know, Joshua. I mean, the profile of Joshua, London Olympic gold medalist. He was a star from the get-go, wasn't he? You know, lost his title, come back and won it. You know, Dubois, the Joyce fight, Usyk defeat. But then again, like I say, his last two wins, you know, the biggest wins of his career by far. So in terms of timing of this fight, it's kind of all built to this moment.
And everything's been there for the public. For Anthony Joshua in particular, every step that he takes, every move that he makes, every time he breathes, every time he does an interview, People are
That's the song that is.
Come on, it was, I was waiting for you to come in. But look, he's under more scrutiny perhaps than so many other athletes, and he'll be under a lot of pressure in theory on Saturday night, because people will be talking about, if he loses, AJ's done, he's finished. If he wins, AJ's back up there. It feels like he's the one with the pressure, Andy. What do you think? Yeah,
well, I mean, he always is. He kind of has been since his debut, and you look at his life, and there will be a film made about it at some point, and there'll be a premiere here, and maybe in 20 years when he's an older man, he'll walk down this same kind of carpet, and maybe we'll all be there, who knows. But ups and downs, which are always going to get absolutely flying, and then we had that crazy night in the Garden. We were all there, absolutely unforgettable against Andy Ruiz, took the immediate rematch, won it, then the Usyk experience, and after he lost a second time, grabbing the mic in the ring and watching that was painful, because you just felt so kind of sorry for him, and he just seemed completely lost at that point. And at that stage, he just did seem a bit bitter about the treatment that he got from the public and from the media, because he just suffered a fate that's as old as time. He got built up and then he got dragged down. But this is really big for him, because people remember what happened against Usyk because it got a big profile. People won't really have seen particularly the rebuild. They won't really have seen Franklin or Helenius on anything like the same scale, or the fight against Otto Wallin. The last one against Ngannou, they will have been more aware of that. But this is almost like his rebirth in the UK. Back in the UK at Wembley Stadium, he has to win, and he can all of a sudden become the darling of the country again. Whether he's that bothered about that anymore or not, I don't really know. But that's what can happen for him. If he loses, then I'm afraid to say people will write him off, because they will just say, well, it's a natural order of things. The king is dead, long live the king, who is now Daniel Dubois.
And let's not forget, we're hearing that in the arena, certainly earlier on in the day. Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury will be around. I'm sure when it actually comes to the first bell for the main event, I'm sure they'll be ringside.
Can you believe you've got Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois? This is how big this is. And these guys are not even the official best in the world. So any fighter around the world will look in the UK and think, you know what, Anthony, they're not even the best in the heavyweight division. And look at the attention, look at the crowd, look at the boxing love they get from the public. So anybody and everybody, if we do it right over here, we do it right. The fans are unbelievable. They turn out in their own. So, of course, what a position to be in. So it shows how big maybe Anthony Joshua is, because AJ has changed the face, like it or not, of boxing around the world in regards to he's your grandmother's friend. Your grandmother loves him. You know, he's had that crossover appeal like very, very few fighters have ever had, especially coming from the UK.
He's a superstar, isn't he? And with all that comes the pressure. And the pressure is on him. There's no getting away from that. You know, Dubois is the underdog. I think he's a very, very live underdog, but he's the underdog. You know, AJ's the superstar. He wins. Everyone's talking about it. If he wins this, and if Fury beats Usyk, we're going to get AJ. Do you know what I mean? And Fury for these. So the pressures, people are not AJ, but people are already looking past Dubois. You know, so the pressure's definitely on AJ.
I've heard people talking about Daniel Dubois as though he could potentially crumble under the spotlight of 96,000 people, it being such a high-pressure event. But he has been involved in high-pressure events. Most recently, Filip Hrgović. If he'd have lost that would have been a terrible loss. Jarrell Miller before that was probably it for Daniel Dubois, had he have lost that, coming off the Usyk defeat as well. He's dealing with high-pressure scenarios, and now he's at a point where he's coming out on top. Another one that comes to mind, Kevin Lerena, he's down 3 times, he's broken his ankle, whatever that's happened there, and he's come through and won it. He has shown that he can deal with pressure, Andy.
He has, because ahead of this fight, I have heard a narrative being peddled along the lines of it's AJ up against a strong puncher, but a green, inexperienced rookie almost, and that just isn't the case, because Dubois has never had Joshua levels of pressure, but he was signed to quite a fanfare by Frank Warren, and when Frank signed him, to be honest, he signed him to beat Anthony Joshua. Really, I think that was always the long-term plan, was that actually, well, you've got your guy and he's won the Olympics, and that's great, but I've got mine, and actually in the end he'll be better. That's what he was thinking. And with Daniel, he had a lot of adversity after that defeat against Joyce. Big questions were asked of him. That wasn't easy. He had to get past that. So much went wrong against Lerena, but he managed to get the win. Usyk was a bizarre experience because of all the controversy with the with the foul, with the low blow, and him sitting it out again for a second time, which, if you look at it strictly speaking, that's what he did. And then Frank piled the pressure on him against Miller. All week he said to us, didn't he, listen, this is it for him, basically. If he can't beat Jarrell Miller, then he's not what I thought he was. And he was happy to basically go there and say it, which kind of surprised us. But he came through, so, yeah, he's faced quite a lot in quite a short period of time.
I don't think it's a crumble. I think it's a distraction. He won't crumble. He could be distracted, but not crumble, because he's proved that, as Andy pointed out. So it's the distraction of the attention, the distraction of the 96,000 people, the distraction of the big stage, him being at the centre of it, because he's boxed everywhere and anywhere. He's been in the Lions' Den, he's been in those big fights. It's the distraction of such a big event.
Johnny's spot on. It's not the pressure of the fight. I think it's the magnitude of this event. All this is something he hasn't been through before, not on this level.
Well, also something he hasn't been through before was a face-off scenario where his opponent has threatened to smash a chair across his face. Gentlemen, what did we think of that face-off? I found it very, very entertaining, and a bit of needle, it felt like, heading into this. What did we think of that?
I think a bit of needle's always good, isn't it? You know, it adds a bit of spice. If it's legitimate, you know what I mean? When it's put on and it's like they're just trying to sell a fight, then I don't really like it. But when it's authentic, bit of needle's great.
I call it boxing foreplay. And that's exactly what it is. It's boxing foreplay. You've got to get into the mind and the psyche of your opponent before you've even stepped those stairs to get in the ring. Boxing foreplay is, I need you to think about me more than you think about your wife and kids. Boxing foreplay is, I need you to think what I'm going to do to you rather than what you're going to do to me. Boxing foreplay, Tyson Fury is the best at boxing foreplay. Before that, Mike Tyson was the best at boxing foreplay. He got into your head before the fella had even gone. So now it's a different kind of boxing foreplay. Anthony Joshua's trying to look into his stall to say, you know what, I'm not your friend. I'm not messing about. Listen, I don't think he dislikes him. It's just business. But Anthony Joshua needs him to think, I'm going to walk through you. And he needs him to believe it. Regardless of it, he needs him to believe that this man is better than him. You know, and that's what Anthony Joshua's doing. That's part of the game. That's how we roll.
I think AJ perceives Daniel Dubois to be a bit of a nervous, timid type of a character, and he's thinking, if I can get that, plants a few seeds of self-doubt in fight week, and then all these media events, you know, it might get the better of him. That's what he's hoping, I believe.
I love that. It's Grand Arrivals night. Boxing foreplay appears to be the theme for the week. Fantastic stuff there, Johnny. But Andy, what did you think of that? There's a feeling that maybe AJ was trying to little bro Daniel Dubois. Just you calm down, kid, kind of thing. What did you make of it all?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because thinking back to AJ against Klitschko 7 years ago, there was a relationship between those two, but Klitschko very much tried to do that, didn't he? You know, I'm big brother Vladimir, you're little AJ, little bro, you know, when I beat you, I'll help you come back, all that kind of thing. And Anthony kind of played along with it, because it was kind of easy enough to play along with it, but got on his nerves. And you could see that it got on his nerves, because it was designed to belittle him and patronise him and keep him in his place. They don't have that relationship, really, Joshua and Dubois. And I feel like Joshua thinks that Dubois should be not deferential to him, because no one can really expect that when you're going to fight, but I think he thought that he should maybe have a little bit more respect for him than Dubois appeared to.
A bit like Frutch Groves in the first fight.
Yeah, and I liked it, because if you're Dubois, why? Why should I? You know, we're going to fight, I'm going to win, that's what's going to happen. We're going to try and knock each other out, that's what's going to happen. Get over it.
But that's the hardest thing. If you've been top dog, and you've seen a young man come through and you've always had his number, you've always beat him up, the hardest thing is to think of him on a level, regardless of what he does and what he's achieved. There was many times I was in the gym and guys that were older than me used to beat me up, then they disappeared, then they came back to the gym and they struggled to kind of show that respect, because they think it's Johnny. You know, and even after winning all the time, they think it's Johnny. Then they get in a spar and it's just something their ego won't let him deal with. So for AJ, he's got to get in his head, I've got your number, and I'm going to prove it to you. And that's what it's about.
Well, we're going to head over to our MC, Thomas Stryber, for the Grand Arrivals. Over to Thomas.
Boxing this Saturday, September 21st, from Wembley Stadium in London, England. I would first like to take this moment to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and His Excellency, Chairman of the General Entertainment Authority, GIA, Turkey Al-Sheikh, for putting together this spectacular Riyadh season event and its fight week here in London. Riyadh season has really re-elevated the sport, and it is genuinely being done for the boxing fans. We are here today to witness an outstanding card featuring Anthony Joshua against Daniel Dubois for the IBF Heavyweight Championship of the World. Brought to you by Riyadh Season and the General Entertainment Authority, GIA, with Frank Warren for Queensberry Promotions and Eddie Hearn for Matchroom Boxing. This event is sponsored by Visit Saudi, Solomon Al Habib Hospital, Saudi Airlines, Red Sea Global, Doria, and Middle Beast in partnership with Gold Star Promotions and Sella in association with Wasserman Boxing and Boxer. This great event will be shown worldwide on DAZN, on TNT Sports Box Office, Sky Sports Box Office, and on payperview.com. Let's now get the grand arrival process started. Our first two fighters competing this Saturday in a scheduled 10-round super lightweight contest. First, we will welcome from Doncaster, Yorkshire, England, undefeated with 14 wins, 4 wins come by way of knockout. He is the current UBO and Central Area champion, Josh Padley.
Well, here comes Josh Padley. Opportunity of a lifetime for this man. Central Area champion, boxing at Wembley Stadium. And he's taking in every moment, Andy.
He is, and it'll be interesting to see how he looks as the days pass during the week, because he was on good form yesterday, but it's easy not to be nervous on a Monday. This is completely new for him. He's never done anything remotely approaching even a couple of big days of media stuff. And he said to us, didn't he, that it's taking some adjusting to, because it is just so foreign. But he's with a new trainer. He's with Jason Cunningham and Steffi Ball. He's trained full-time for 8 weeks for this, which is the first time he's been able to do that in his career, and that could make a big difference. And it's just a big opportunity, a big opportunity. Win, lose or draw, if he boxes well, his stock rises. And that's how he's got to look at it. You always go in there thinking you're going to win, but that's really how he has to look at it.
No, absolutely. I love that he's taking in every moment, by the way. There is not a camera he is passing by. Josh Padley takes on Mark Chamberlain on Saturday night. So very interesting fight. Mark Chamberlain is known now as the favourite fighter of His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. So if Josh Padley wins, does he become favourite? Let's hear from Josh Padley now with Ali Drew.
An experience you're having. You're the first fighter down this purple carpet. How are you feeling?
Amazing. Look at what we've put on here. I'm excited to be a part of this event.
How does this compare to previous fight weeks you've had?
Completely different. I'm used to the small hall shows, so none of this glitz and glamour. So just soaking it all in and taking it in my stride.
Massive opportunity for you on Saturday night. You can really establish your name in the division. Presumably, you didn't even question when it got put to you for this fight. You just said yes straight away. Definitely.
This is what I've been missing in my career, is exposure like this. So when an opportunity came like this, I had to take it.
And how are you feeling? Nervous? You look like you're quite relaxed.
I'm all right. The nerves go as soon as you get in the ring, so let's get to it.
Well, I'll let you get in there, but enjoy it all.
Thank you very much.
Well, there was Josh Padley. Let's go back to Thomas Triber.
defeated with 16 wins, 12 of his 16 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the current WBC Silver and IBF European Champion, Mark Chamberlain.
Well, here he is, the man of the hour, the unbeaten Mark Chamberlain, whose life has completely changed when His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh watched one of his fights at your call and loved it.
It's a big deal knowing that Turkey knows who you are. That's what it is. I see these young men walking down now on such a massive, massive stage. Reminding me of when I went to Auckland, New Zealand to box for a title that was big down there. Nobody heard of it here. But they drove me to the venue in a limousine. And I thought, oh, nice. This is the worst thing you could have done, because I could get used to this. And you aspire to think, you give hunger, you give a fire in your belly to think, I want this to be about me. I don't want to be the guy that's an also-ran. And so this is inspiring for young guys coming through to want to get up to this level here, to want to get in the radar of Turkey, to say, you know what, I know who you are. That's the biggest deal more than anything else. So for these young men, what a great opportunity.
Huge opportunity. Let's hear from Mark Chamberlain now, who joins Ali Drew.
Mark, you just said it, back again for another Riyadh season fight week, this time in London. How different does this one feel?
It feels the same, just the weather isn't with us. Other than that, yeah, it's great to be part of another big platform, and I'm looking forward to it.
Do you ever get used to these big fight weeks, these huge events?
I've done it a couple of times now, yeah. So the big platforms is what I want to get used to, because I always want to be welcome back on them. So just got to keep doing what I'm doing, and no doubt I will be part of these big shows in the future.
Yeah, there is rumours of you being part of future upcoming big fights, big events. But how much of a banana skin does Saturday face for you?
I'm not looking past Saturday. Obviously, there's an unbeaten fighter in front of me, but I'm pretty confident we get the job done within the distance, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, best of luck.
Thank you.
Our next two fighters competing this Saturday in a scheduled 12-round contest. It will be for the vacant WBO Interim Light Heavyweight Championship of the World. First, let's welcome from Carstairs, Scotland. His professional record, 18 wins, just one defeat. 13 of his 18 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the current WBC Silver Champion, Willie the Hutch Train Hutchinson.
Well, choo-choo, here comes the Hutch Train. Huge opportunity for him on Saturday night, taking on Joshua Buatsi for the WBO Interim Light Heavyweight Championship, and I'm delighted to be in the company. He's joined us. Mark Chamberlain, how are you?
Yeah, all good, thanks, all good. Soaking it up again, and looking forward to Saturday night.
Grand arrival at Leicester Square. Mark, have you ever seen anything like it?
Not in this country. No, definitely not. But it's first time for everything, and it's another great experience to be taken part of.
And you seem to be an example, Mark, that whatever you're doing, just do your best, because you never know who's watching. You having a hard fight at your call, probably the hardest of your career, and it just so happened someone very important was watching and liked the look of you.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the hard work pays off, and was the cherry on top, getting a stoppage in the 10th round. And, yeah, being specifically picked to be part of these big events is great.
I think something else about this new regime that is not so new anymore is that it's not just that you're boxing on big shows. It's been the same for you and some others, is that you can actually box really regularly if you want to, because Joshua's done it, you've done it, Joseph Parker's done it, and activity's great, isn't it?
Yeah, more the merrier, really. The minute that they pick up the phone and say that, do you want to be part of another big event, I'll be ready again to go straight away. So I'm just grateful.
Get that holiday out the way.
Yeah, holidays out the way, and yeah, back in the gym.
Good man. Mark Chamberlain, just finally, what's going to happen on Saturday?
With my fight?
Yeah.
I'm going to come out victorious on top as always.
Best of luck to you, my friend.
Thank you.
Go well, Mark Chamberlain. Thank
Cheers.
you very much. Let's go back now to Willie Hutchinson, who is joining Ali Drew.
Willie, another Riyadh season, fight week for you. How are you feeling?
Listen, I'm in London and I'm living the dream. I'm taking it all in, I'm soaking it up. The weather's nice, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling sexy, and I'm ready to rock and roll on Saturday night.
You seem full of confidence and very relaxed for this one. Do you feel more so for this fight than previous?
You know what it is, it's just me being me. People think I'm confident or whatever you think. This is me on a daily basis, that's my team. Just living the dream, man, living the dream.
We've heard you say a few times, this fight's not going to distance, you're going to stop him.
Yeah.
How much of a statement is that going to be if you do that Saturday night?
Listen, once he's knocked out, the statement's there itself, innit? You know what I mean? I've got nothing to say. It's all on Saturday night, enjoying myself and soak it all up and get in there.
Well, best of luck.
Muchas gracias.
And now let's welcome from Croydon, London, England, by way of Accra, Ghana. He was a 2016 Olympic bronze medalist, now as a professional, undefeated with 18 wins, 13 of his 18 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the current British and Commonwealth champion, Joshua Buatsi.
Here is Joshua Buatsi, a huge fight for him on Saturday night. Willie Hutchinson has really gate crashed this light heavyweight scene, and he's found himself in there. WBO interim light heavyweight championship fight with Joshua Buatsi. Buatsi here taking in every moment with the fans. It might be the toughest fight of his career on Saturday, Andy.
It could be, and it's not one that we anticipated. A few months ago, we never would have put these two together, but it's always good to freshen things up a bit, because I wouldn't say it was getting stale at light heavy. It was a great scene, but whilst he wasn't fighting Anthony Yarde, we wondered where the division was really going to go, and then Hutchinson arrives, which has been really, really good. It was really funny yesterday, actually. We sat down with Hutchinson, and they played this little game of social media guys where they said, say something when I name a better light heavyweight than you. They went through all of them. Bivol Beterbiev didn't say anything. Roy Jones didn't say anything. We could have gone to Michael Spinks, Ezra Charles, the entire history of boxing, and he still wouldn't have said anything. He's not a man who's racked by self-doubt, Hutchinson, is he? But nor's Buatsi. You know, they're very, very different.
They are certainly different. And Matt, you'd have followed plenty of Joshua Buatsi's career as well. It's an intriguing fight on Saturday on a big, big stage.
Yeah, well, I was a big fan of Joshua Buatsi from the Olympics and all the way through in his career, and you know, he hasn't been beaten or anything like that, but I think the sort of momentum that he gathered early doors has fizzled out a little bit. That said, you know, in a good win against Dan Aziz, I thought he had another couple of gears if he needed them, but this is a very interesting fight, because I don't know if Aziz really believed he could beat Buatsi. He knew he could go in there and he could compete with him and hang with him, but did he really believe he could beat when he was better than him? Where I look at Hutchinson, I feel like Hutchinson does believe that he's better than Buatsi.
Fight week is here. How are you feeling?
I'm good, man. It's been a long time coming, but we're a couple of days away now, so I'm looking forward to it.
Do you enjoy these type of things in fight week, or are you just ready for Saturday night?
I'm ready for Saturday night, but listen, big up everyone for coming out here. We've got to respect that, man.
Now, this fight has had a little bit of spice in the build-up. How have you found the build-up? And do you think that just brings a little bit of edge to fight night?
It does, man. Look, everyone's going to be watching it, so I'm looking forward to it myself.
Can we have any predictions for the night?
I can only predict on myself, and that's a win from me.
Best of luck.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Our next two fighters competing this Saturday in a scheduled 12-round contest in the middleweight division. First, let's welcome from Sunderland, Tyne and Ware. He was a 2016 Olympian. Now as a professional, he has a record consisting of 15 wins, just one defeat, one draw, with 8 of his 15 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the former British and Commonwealth champion and current WBO international champion, Josh Pretty Boy Kelly.
Well, here comes Josh Kelly, very much continuing the theme of Joshes around this show. And I'm not joshing with you, but I have Joshua Buatsi here as well. How are you, sir?
Not too bad, my man. How are you doing?
I'm very, very good. You seem to enjoy the carpet. Did you like it? It's quite a big thing, right?
A little bit, but as you can imagine, all I'm thinking about is fight now. But it's something different, so I've got to embrace it.
And it's going to be a big week. Every day there's going to be something different. It's going to be bigger than probably anything you've done so far in your career, for many fighters as well. Will you take a moment to take it in?
I'm going to try to, but again, I'm so fixated on Saturday. All of this is a bonus, but listen, if you don't do this and you win on Saturday, you're still the man, so that's what I'm thinking about.
It's a big fight on Saturday night for Joshua Buatsi. We were just talking about it, Andy. Talk to us about this.
Yeah, I think it's one that nobody would have anticipated, Josh, not that long ago. Nobody would have put you two together, but it's kind of freshened things up in a sense. We spoke to you yesterday, and you're like you always are. As you said, you're focused. You're ice cold, I think.
Say that again?
You're ice cold, I think, in your approach to boxing in general. And I've never really been able to figure out whether that's purely your personality or whether you're quite different away from boxing, whether you're able to separate your personal and your professional to the extent that you are actually two different people?
Very good question. I'll tell you one thing. A friend of mine said to me that just because she's organised at work doesn't mean she's organised in her real life. I'm very serious about boxing, but outside boxing, you can't take me serious. My friends say that all the time, but you guys only see the boxing version of me, so you think, oh, Buatsi, she's serious. I promise you, outside boxing, I'm not a serious person.
Did we see the non-boxing version of Joshua Buatsi when you came face-to-face with Willie Hutchinson and put your hand around his throat in a bit of an altercation? Was that the non-boxing version?
No, you guys just saw a bit that you haven't seen before. When I came onto the cameras and everything, I was a bit polished, so you ain't really seen that, but it's not a part of me that's new. It's been there. So I think for the boxing people, they just saw it for the first time.
And what will we see from Joshua Buatsi on Saturday night?
Listen, I got 12 rounds. I've got a lot of eyes watching. A very anticipated fight, so you know I'm going to bring the heat.
Best of luck to you, Joshua Buatsi. Thank you for having a chat with us.
Two old Rio teammates on this card as well, him and Josh Kelly, two Olympic teammates, and you think about all the things that can happen in pro boxing in the 8 years since you did that together. It's probably quite nice for the pair of them to be on the same card, because those types of reunions, you've got to stay the course.
I was thinking that myself.
You've got to stay the course.
Well, we're looking at the pretty boy Josh Kelly taking on a late replacement in Ismail Davis on Saturday. He'd have had to just completely rejig his mindset. Let's hear what's going on in the mind of Josh Kelly.
Your first experience of a Riyadh season fight week. How are you feeling about this one?
I'm feeling blessed, grateful. See the turnout. UK do it properly, man. I can't wait to perform in front of these fans.
I'm probably extra grateful that you're still on the show because you have got a late replacement. Just talk to us about the sort of build-up, not knowing whether you were going to fight, then getting a change of opponent.
I just switched off, to be honest. As soon as the opponent thing happened, I just switched off and just give me phone to my team, switched off social media, locked in. Obviously still on the card, so very grateful for the guy taking the fight as well, so it's all good.
Yeah, Ismail Davis has stepped in. How much do you know of him, and has changes been made in the preparations for the fight?
He's a solid guy. He looks solid. He's got to bring the same sort of thing what Liam was. Liam likes to come, make it rough and make it pressure. I think Ismail will try the same, so I'm fully prepared for the night. I can't wait.
What can we expect from you on Saturday night?
Oh, showtime. Come on.
Best of luck.
Thank you. Cheers.
Let's now welcome from Leeds, Yorkshire, England, undefeated with 13 wins, 6 of his 13 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is Ismail, the Black Panther Davis.
Well, here comes Ismail Davis, a real example of keep your phone on, answer your phone. He got a call on Sunday saying, do you fancy fighting at Wembley Stadium? He said yes.
Whispered, this man's going to create an upset on Saturday night. People that are in his gym, people that that know him up close and personal, keep an eye on him. Josh Kelly's an outstanding fighter, a technician. But you know what? I think if there's going to be an upset, just keep an eye on this one.
There's been a quiet confidence about Ismail Davis. We spoke to him yesterday, Andy. I like the way he carries himself. He seems nonplussed with all of this.
No, he seemed at ease with things yesterday, and he's bang up for it. I mean, that's the only way to describe it, really. What I like about him is that he's been through some things in his personal life which has toughened him up. He went to prison a couple of times when he was a younger man, had twins when he was 14. All sorts of things happened to him. He doesn't really play on that particularly, but he's not just a tough guy. He can actually box. He's got a few things in his locker. So in terms of getting a replacement of that kind of notice, I don't think you could really do much better, because he's never out of the gym anyway, but he was already training for a fight.
You know, we talk about how Fabio Wardley has very limited kind of white-collar experience and then became a pro. This guy here, Ismail Davis, one white-collar fight and then just straight into the pros.
Absolutely learning on the job, but a tough kid, as Andy said, not just physically but mentally as well. And he's talented, and he's athletic, and he can punch, he can box too. Good fight.
It is a good fight. Of course, Josh Kelly was supposed to be taking on Liam Smith. We wish Liam Smith well. Unfortunately, had to pull out of this, but Ismail Davis has gained, and Ismail Davis is joining Ali Drew now. Let's head over to Ali Drew.
Ismail, you're here for fight week. You've not had much time to prep for this. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling ready. I belong here, and I'm going to show it on Saturday night.
Now, you stepped in with 6 days' notice. What was going through your head when that call came in?
I'm always ready, and BP don't get tired, man. So, listen, 6 days' notice, but I believe in myself, so let's get it on.
How much of an opportunity is Saturday night for you?
This is massive, innit? It changed not only my life, but my kids' life, so I won't be taking it lightly.
Are you looking forward to this fight week? Because you wouldn't have experienced something like this before.
Nah, this is massive, man. I'm grateful. It's amazing, innit? But listen, it's all about the fight. This is nice, but it's about fight, getting the fight done and getting the win. So Saturday night it's on.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Nice to see you. Head on up live.
Well, that was Ismail Davis. We've got to see what's going on behind us, but let's take this in a little bit. We are just taking this in. Leicester Square, grand arrivals. I've enjoyed it so far, and you can see some of these fighters. It's a real slow walk. Josh Padley really took his time. You've got to take it in.
Yeah, soak it up, man. Exactly, and let it motivate you as well. This is a taster. You win here on Saturday night, you can be back again.
It's exactly that. It's an opportunity. It's a bit of a shop window as well, especially someone like Josh Padley, like Ismail Davis, who's got this opportunity out of nowhere. Shop window.
Yeah, it is. It is. Watching this more and more, it kind of makes me think about what Johnny and Matt said at the very start, which is that it's fine for Josh Padley, for example, to say, well, all of the nerves go when the bell goes, but you've got to make sure that you don't get sapped of all your nervous energy during the course of the week when it's really new, like this is for all of them. The physical side of the training is finished now, that's done, and this entire week is mental, isn't it? And for the ones who've never experienced it before, they might look like they're enjoying it, but you could almost enjoy it too much. There's all sorts of ways in which it can take away from you, and you've just got to be very careful.
Yeah, you want to soak it up, but you don't want to get so distracted that you take your eye off the ball and lose focus. Yeah, it's all about just harnessing it, and then harnessing it and putting it on the night of the fight. That's when you explode.
Let's take in the scenery. Right over there, you see London carries on. It's only in London. You've got the tourists and everybody just sat down there watching and listening, and that's how enthralled they are in this. They're not going anywhere. They just want to hear it. They can't say anything. You've got the fighters walking down. This is why it's got our attention, because it's just like something you see in a movie. So if this is getting our attention, imagine being one of the fighters, and it's only the top level fighters that can hold their steel, hold their form, hold their cool. But everybody, there's no way you can't tell me this isn't affecting any of the fighters coming through. It might inspire them, it might break them. I think most of them that have come through so far, it's inspired them.
I like that, Johnny. I guess it could make you or break you, right, on Saturday. And we're going to find out. Tell me a little bit about this Willie Hutchinson, Joshua Buatsi fight. When Willie Hutchinson was walking down, you got excited, Johnny.
So I know Willie. Willie's training in our gym, and Willie, He's a very, very good technical fighter. Do not sleep on him. And I think what surprised everybody else was because they slept on him and thought, well, there's nothing about him. He's not showed the desire in our sport. And it was against Spider Richards he beat. No, that was least expected. But and this was him going in at 70%. Now, when this young man believes in himself and really trains and really puts it in, he is an handful. So because he's all of a sudden now they're making noise about him, they're talking about him. Joshua Buatsi knows for a fact he has to take him serious, because if he sleeps on it, and I expect Joshua Buatsi to do the job. Willie Hutchinson's a good friend of mine from a long time. I expect Joshua Buatsi to do the job because I think he's only boxed 80% within himself thus far. So he's got to come out of that and show this is what I can do. This is a potential fighter I'm going to be. But Willie Hutchinson is a good fighter. And once all these ducks are in order, he'll be a very, very hard man to beat. So again, this is one of those fights where it can get messy and it can get harder than expected.
Yeah, I tell you what I think could be really interesting about this one is that probably for the first time in his career, Buatsi could be in a fight where he's down at halfway and then he's having to run his man down, stay patient, seek and destroy, because in all his fights so far I don't really recall him ever being behind, but in this one he could be, couldn't he?
The fight when he boxed I think was it Croatian or Serbian opponent at the Copper Box?
Was it Cacace?
Yeah, that's right.
Cacace, that's right, and he got buzzed early, didn't he? His eye went.
That was a good fight. You have to dig deep for
Do you
that,
know what I mean?
Yeah.
I impressed me that night because he got a terrible start and he dug in there and found, got him out there in the end, didn't he? I think 7 rounds or something. So I thought he was impressive that night, Buatsi. And you're right. It wouldn't shock me if this fight with Hutchinson goes along those lines. Hutchinson getting ahead early, his awkwardness, which is quite sharp, isn't he? And Buatsi's a little bit, I think, lately, he can overthink it a little bit. When he lets his hands go, I think that's when he's at his best.
The one thing I hear about Buatsi is, in sparring, he gets hit a lot, but that he likes that kind of hunger. And so, and I get that, but those kind of things they drip the water out slowly but surely. In sparring, he works hard, so he thinks if I work hard in sparring, I'll get the job here. He reminds me of a young Evander Holyfield, the stance when he gets his balance, when he starts to let the shots go. When he lets those shots go, the kid is second to none. But he's just not had the chance to prove it at top level to say, right, open the can, throw it all out there. This is one of those fights where he can get pickpocketed. He can't afford to let that happen. He looks like he's in good shape. The build up to this, I think this is the first fight that I think kind of rattled him because Willie's capable of doing that, trying to get in your head to wind you up. They sparred. He's trying to make a bigger deal out of the sparring session. Again, sparring means nothing to me. As far as I'm concerned, that's where a fighter is trying to sharpen his tools. Might be working on the jab, might be working on defence, might be working on the right hand. So therefore, you're going to have parts of success because the fighter is working on something. So you can't read anything from sparring. So no matter what you say about Willie and Joshua Buatsi, AJ and Dubois, don't read anything about the sparring rumours.
We need to see some gears, I think, don't we, from Buatsi, because he hasn't really needed them necessarily in most of the fights he's had. But weirdly, in the amateurs, even though they're only 3-round fights, he did have them because he knew that other people might be able to outbox him. So when he got his chance and he saw his opening, he went for it and he would finish people.
And that's what impressed me in the Cacace fight, because we did see gears. He went through gears because he needed to.
It was forced out of him.
I think he's someone that boxes to the level of his opposition or to the situation. If he's winning, I think he's happy just staying in that first, second gear. Even in the fight he had at Resorts World,
he cruised it, didn't he?
He just stayed in first gear, and like we were commentating, it was so frustrating because he'd been out for so long, and it was it was the main event, and it was the first fight back on Scott, and he just coasted. He just stayed in first gear, and you're thinking, come on, go through the gears. But I think if he has
Schedule
to,
12
he can
round.
do.
Well, let's carry on with the grand arrivals. Let's head back to Thomas Schreiber.
Championship of the world. Let's first welcome the challenger from Leeds, Yorkshire, England. His professional record, 31 wins, 3 defeats, 1 draw, with 8 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the former 2-time world champion, Josh, the Leeds Warrior, Warrington.
Well, here is the Leeds Warrior, former 2-time world featherweight champion, now up at super featherweight for this fight with Anthony Cacace. Got the call and brings an army of Leeds fans to Wembley Stadium on Saturday night.
Yeah, you know what, he was like Yorkshire's version of Ricky Hatton at one point, the fans that he had. You know, every fight he gets up to the top of the hill, eventually got to go over the other side. I don't think Josh Warrington's the fighter he was, but the fighter he is. Gives anybody hellfire at this time in his career. Don't write him off. Very, very fit, still very hungry, very ambitious, and still, you know, to be in such a position. You know, he was beating Lee Wood until he got turned over, until he got caught with a shot. So he still showed he had that something in him, but it's just the hard fights have caught up to him.
Yeah, totally agree with that. I think, you know, live fast, die young, you know, and he's that kind of a fighter, wasn't he? All action, you know, wasn't technically or the most skillful, but in terms of sheer desire, tenacity, fitness, off the scale, wasn't it? And like I say, all the crowd behind him as well. But then, I don't know, I think Cacace, the extra size, and he's another, and he's similar mindset, tough as nails, hard. And I think it's a tough fight for Warrington, this one is.
I think he's the only person on this card, outside of Anthony Joshua. He's had an individual night bigger than this, Warrington, when he won his title at Ellen Road against Lee Selby, sold that place out. Not as big a stage and occasion as this, but for him personally, he's had that, and that could play a part. You never know.
Yeah, he won't be overwhelmed or overawed by the occasion, not one bit.
Josh, you are no stranger to some huge fight nights, but Saturday night looks to break all records for the British boxing crowd. How are you feeling going into this one?
Yeah, it's an honour to be part of such a spectacle, such a show. Like you say, I've done, you know, many big shows up in Leeds, arenas and stadiums, but this is another level. Ultimately, though, what it comes down to is me and my man in front of me. I've got experience in being in, like I say, big shows, but it's just about me and Anthony, and that's what I'm focused on at the minute.
You go into this one as the underdog, but you've also got experience going in as the underdog, and you've had some of your best wins as an underdog, so that doesn't faze you at all, does it? No, none whatsoever. I mean, I think throughout my career, the chips have always been stacked against me for whatever reason, but when my back's against the wall, and it seems to bring the best out of me. You know, I went into the last fight, even though I come away on the wrong side of the fight, you know, it was a fight I was dominating. So this one, people might be overlooking me a little bit, but I'm fully focused, and I know I've got enough to get the W. And a new weight for you. The right time to step up now? Yeah, you know what? I can't cry over spilled milk, but I probably should have done it a few years ago. You know, these extra few pounds, it might not sound a lot to a lot of people, but I feel absolutely fantastic, and best I've felt in a long time. Both of you have promised an exciting fight. Is this going to steal the show? I think so. You know, we've been noble, respectful throughout. I've got a lot of respect for Anto and his team have been very good. And you know, sometimes we're going to prove that you don't need to trash talk or talk absolute bollocks. You know, it's all about letting the fish do the talking. And I think that we're both going to deliver on Saturday night. Best of luck, Josh. Thank you.
And now let's welcome the defending world champion from Belfast, Northern Ireland. His professional record, 22 wins, just one defeat, with 8 wins coming by way of knockout. He is the current IBF world champion, and this Saturday, the reigning and defending IBO super featherweight champion of the world, Anthony the Andy Town Apache Cacace.
I'll tell you what, I absolutely love it when Thomas Treiber calls this man the Andy Town Apache, and so does Anthony Cacace, now a champ. He is the IBO World Super Featherweight Champion, and he's the IBF World Super Featherweight Champion, but he is expecting the fight of his life on Saturday night against Josh Warrington.
Yes, he is. Josh Warrington's a former 2-time world champion, so therefore he has the experience. Has he got the engine? We don't know. I know there's a nonsense going on in regards to what's happening with the IBF title. If he loses, Josh Warrington doesn't get it. To me, that's a nonsense. Don't make sense. If he loses, he loses. If he loses it to somebody, that's how it should be. And this is where governing bodies do themselves no favours at all by doing silly things like this. So I don't know if I've got it spot spot on right. Don't know if I've got it spotted wrong, but if that is the case, it's a nonsense. The nonsense part of our sport.
Well, the IBO title will certainly be on the line as Cacace takes on Warrington on Saturday. And 2 years ago, he was supposed to box at Wembley Stadium, and he got pulled in fight week. Unfortunately, his fight fell through. He was going to box on the Fury White undercard. 2 years later, here he is. Yeah,
I mean, what a signal that must have been, you know. But like you say, man's flying now. I remember we out in Saudi all week before the fight with Joe Cordino. I remember saying to Andy, I said, I don't know if he's going to win, but I know he's going to perform. You could just tell he was like a man possessed, and that's how he fought in the fight. You know, it got hard and he got hot and heavy in there at one stage, and Cordino was trading after, and I could just see there was no breaking that man's will. Absolutely zero chance of that.
No, it had to be his night, didn't it? Because he knew it. In his mid-30s, he'd been chronically inactive. Things like Dev just outlined were happening to him. He was getting injuries. He got given a voluntary at 35 from nowhere. This is it.
Yeah.
That's what he was thinking. This is it. I'm not going to get this chance again.
And he fought like that.
And he did it, yeah.
Well, it had to be his night against Joe Cordino. Will it be his night on Saturday? Let's hear from the Andy Town Apache.
Anthony, welcome back to Riyadh Season Fight Week. How are you feeling going in as champion on this one?
I'm feeling great. Look around. It is unbelievable. It's just great to be part of this, you know, Riyadh season again. I'm just buzzing.
How has the prep gone for this one compared to your last one? You know, you're going into this one as the favourite.
Listen, favourite means absolutely nothing. I know George, he's a great fighter, you know, and he's going to bring the heat, but I just believe I'm the better fighter and it's my time.
How much of an opportunity is the fight on Saturday for you?
Well, for to fight a big name like Josh, it's, you know, it's great. He's had like fights with Frampton, Selby, and all these big fighters in the past. So I would like to get my revenge for a couple of Irish fighters. So Saturday night, I plan on doing that.
Both of you have said, and commentary has said, they think this is going to be fight of the night.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what it's going to be?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I mean, I know the style Josh brings. I know what I want to bring. So, yeah, I do. I believe it's going to be the best fight of the night.
Fans have got a lot to look forward to.
Yes, 100%. Tune in.
Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Our next two fighters competing this Saturday in a scheduled 12-round contest. It will be for the EBU European, WBC Silver, and Commonwealth Middleweight Championships. First, let's welcome from Rowley Regis, West Midlands, England. His professional record consists of 19 wins, 2 defeats, 3 draws, with 1 win coming by way of knockout. Here is the reigning and defending EBU European Middleweight Champion, Tyler Denny.
Well, here comes the underdog who just keeps on winning, always defying the odds, European champion Tyler Denny.
What a fairy tale story this young man has. He was living in a 1-bedroom tower flat with his family before he picked up the title, and you looked at this young man and you thought he'd never get to even that level. I can remember after the fight, I think it was in Wolverhampton, after the fight, I said to him, you know what, buy a house, just make sure you've got that on your belt, no matter what happens from this point, you know, make a difference in your life. He's gone on, beat Felix Cash, he's now in this situation now. I'm quite sure, even at this stage in this young man's life, he's made, as far as he's concerned, life-changing money that just changes the direction of his life and puts it on a better path. He's such a down-to-earth kind of guy, and I think he's a bin man, or he used to be, but I'm still doing his job. But yeah, I like the fact that he's his feet on the ground, he's on such a big platform. I hope he's getting paid handsomely. And you know what? It's hard to tip the wink to him to say he'll get the nod here because he's in a hard fight, but he's always proven us wrong. He's always doing it.
Well, he's taken the scalp of many unbeaten British middleweights coming through at various times in their career, and he takes on another unbeaten British middleweight on Saturday night. He might be the best of the bunch in Hamza Sheeraz, Matt.
I think so, and maybe this is where the fairy tale ends, because Tyler Denny has been on an unbelievable run, you know, just fighting undefeated fighter, being the away guy, expected to lose, and just springs up the upset. The Felix Cash one, I thought maybe that was where it was going to end, but it didn't. What a performance, unbelievable, and was buzzing for him. And I'll be delighted for him if he wins on Saturday, but I think he's in a tough fight here. Sheeraz looks the real deal.
But if he can get inside that long reach, if he can get inside that jab on that right hand and do what he does, which is basically weld himself to you at the hip and shoulder, grind on you, kind of bone on bone.
Yeah. He's awkward.
Suck the will to live out of you, which is what he does. If he can get inside that reach of Hamza Sheeraz's and get to that place, then it's going to be difficult to Hamza.
He's a hard man to beat, which he's proven. Like you say, he's awkward, he's a southpaw, he gets in real low, gets on your side, he's a difficult man, as he's proven. But Sheeraz is good, so you've got to balance. That balances things. When we're dreaming, I'm dreaming for Denny, can he do it again? I think, I don't know, Sheeraz is a good fighter.
Well, there's nothing flashy about the way Tyler Denny really fights, but he's taking in the flashes here of the cameras, taking in every moment. Whatever he's done so far in his career, it has worked. But the task of Hamza Sheeraz is most certainly a big one. Hamza Sheeraz has become a bit of a golden boy, a real favourite of His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. He is a Riyadh season ambassador, and he is the favourite heading into Saturday. This is the chief support bout between Tyler Denny and Hamza Sheeraz. It's great to see Tyler taking it in. It must mean a lot to him.
He's absolutely loving this, and there's every reason why he should. And let's just always remember that he is the reigning and defending European champion here. But let's say he does lose to Hamza Sheeraz. It's not over. You've just lost to a really good fighter. You get back in the gym. Big fights out there.
It looks like you're taking it all in. The atmosphere, signing autographs. How excited are you for this one?
I'm buzzing for it, man. Buzzing for it. This is crazy, isn't it? But just enjoying myself and embracing it.
How different is this from what you're used to experiencing? You've done it the hard way. You've gone the small hall route. You've had to sell tickets. You've gone on the road. You've gone on the B-side. How different is this?
It's very different. I think there's more people here than I've been at some of my fights earlier on. So, but I'm grateful for it. I appreciate it. And can make someone's day having a picture, then I'm all up for it, really.
Now, you've said yourself you keep getting told this is a tough fight. You've taken nothing but tough fights, really. So that doesn't faze you at all.
Nah, nothing. I enjoy it. If they're not calling me the underdog, I'm used to it now. I've been underdog for the last probably 6 or 7 fights, and I keep coming out on top, and it'll be no different Saturday.
If you get the win Saturday night, what does it do for you? What opportunity is there for you?
When I get the win on Saturday, I don't know. I leave that to everyone else, but the progression's mad. So who knows? World titles, but let's sort Saturday out first.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
And now let's welcome from Ilford, Essex, England, undefeated with 20 wins, 16 of his 20 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the reigning and defending WBC Silver and Commonwealth Middleweight Champion, Hamza Sheeraz.
Well, here is the unbeaten Hamza Sheeraz, who really is becoming a bit of a golden boy, coming out to Dil, Pakistan, proudly representing Pakistan and, of course, the United Kingdom, and he's looking very much the part. Riyadh season ambassador, and on a streak of 14 consecutive knockouts.
You picked exactly the right phrase there. He really does look the part, doesn't he? Because he's got that responsibility of being the ambassador. He was a team captain for Queensbury in the 5 versus 5. And it suits him. I think he wears it really well. He's got that kind of gravitas about him, for want of a better word, even though he hasn't achieved that much as a fighter yet, but he is good. He's not all mouth, no trousers. I mean, he can definitely fight. And his best performance to date was his most recent one, and that's always a good thing. And making that move to America, you know about that. You know about boxing abroad and doing hard rounds. He's profited from it because, as he described to us, you turn up in those American gyms on the first day, you're fresh meat. Everybody fancies a go, and it's really brought him on.
Especially if you're a Brit. That's right, without a doubt. I hear so many things about this young man. I've got a friend on the inside in training camp, and he's been singing this young man's praises for quite a while. He said he's special, Johnny. I've never seen anything like him in my life outside of the gym. So we're expecting big things from Hamza Sheeraz.
It has been remarkable. There wasn't too much of an amateur career to talk about. And
Don't
really,
mean anything, amateurs. It doesn't mean anything in pro games, as far as I'm concerned. You know, there's not many good amateurs that become outstanding professionals. When they do, they're really good. But in reality, it's two completely different games.
Well, he's very much been learning on the job and learning in the public eye, and very much in the public eye now, stopping for every selfie, and of course boxing on an Anthony Joshua undercard. He says that he has modelled himself on Anthony Joshua. The way Anthony Joshua conducts himself, carries himself, Hamza has looked at that and thought, yeah, I'll try and model myself like that.
Well, he's definitely got a bit of star quality about him, hasn't he? Looks well, dresses well, looks the part, you know, and carries himself in that way.
And in this middleweight division, it won't be long until he gets a world title shot. But of course, Tyler Denny is the man in the way on Saturday night. The European Middleweight Championship will be on the line. Will the Hamza Sheeraz knockout streak continue? Or will Tyler Denny take the unbeaten scalp of yet another British middleweight? Questions will be answered on Saturday. But first, let's hear Hamza Sheeraz answer the questions of Ali Drew.
Hamza, fight week has officially begun. How are you feeling?
I'm very well, very well. Looking forward to put on a great performance come Saturday night. I just want to thank my team, thank His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, and yeah, I'm buzzing.
You've been dreaming of fighting at Wembley Stadium for a long time. Does it feel real that it's happening this Saturday?
Do you know what? It does and it doesn't. I kind of wake up every morning and I have like a pinch myself moment. But, you know, it's reality now and I've got to deal with a man in front of me on Saturday night.
You're going into this one as the favourite. Do you feel pressure on your shoulders with that?
No pressure. I don't feel pressure at all, to be fair. I'm blessed to be in the situation I am and I'll make good use of it for sure.
You are a Riyadh season ambassador. How proud does it make you, the fact that it's here now in London?
Yeah, massive. Listen, it gives me the opportunity to perform in front of the people who couldn't come out to Riyadh. Do you know what I mean? So it being Riyadh season and me being ambassador as well, it just makes sense. And I suppose one way I could give back is by putting on a knockout performance Saturday night.
Is that what you're predicting for Saturday night?
Inshallah, definitely. That's the plan.
Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Well, that was Hamza Sheeraz, and we talk about star quality. He certainly appears to have that star quality. In this middleweight division, it feels like it's crying out for someone to come along, grab a hold of it, and become a superstar.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, Golovkin, with him leaving the division and getting old, it needs a new star. Hopefully this is the guy to step up.
Well, let's bring in that new star. I think he's going to come and join us and have a chat with us. Mr. Hamza Sheeraz, great to see you. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you guys?
Very good. Looking great. I mean, you just look great up there.
That's it. No, I have to make an effort. Do you know what I mean? If I was in a tracksuit yesterday, I had to switch it up today.
You taking all of this in this week?
Yeah. Do you know what? It's good. It's nice to be back in London, especially after Riyadh. It was a good experience out there, and I done what I had to do. But it's nice to be back and to give back to the boxing fans in Britain.
We were just talking about how this middleweight division, let's be honest, it ain't been great for the last few years. It's been a little bit since Golovkin left, been a bit here and there, and it's crying out for a superstar to come along, grab a hold of it, and say, I'm the man. Are you that man, Hamza?
Godwin, listen, I've been knocking my last 14 opponents out, so I've been trying to do my best Triple G impression anyway. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, hopefully.
I'm just thinking there, he's about the same height as Kelly Padley.
It's
huge middleweight.
It's a great division to get hold of and become the man if Hamza can do that. Of course, a big challenge on Saturday night with Tyler Denny, though, Andy.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it is quite fragmented. I know they were looking to try and make the fight with Carlos Adames for the WBC. Erizlandi Lara was in action against Danny Garcia, which in the end was a bit of a non-event on the weekend. He's got the WBA. Janibek has had some problems recently. So I think there's definitely opportunities there. I just want to ask you about going to America.
Yep.
Because Matt did that as well. And you described to me before how tough it was early on.
Yeah.
Because you're in digs, it's not glamorous, long days, all of that. Was there a point early on maybe where you got back from a difficult spar and thought to yourself, just get me home, this is terrible?
2 weeks in, and it wasn't even after sparring. It was after my first 2 weeks of working the floor with Ricky, hitting the bags and doing like 40 rounds in one session. I remember coming back to my room after 2 weeks and thinking, listen, I'm seriously contemplating getting on a flight back home here. But then I thought, you know what, I need that grit between my teeth. I'm here for a reason and a purpose. And yeah, it paid off, to say the least.
I mean, you've always been an advocate of it, Matt. You did it, and you know it's tough being away from home. It's boring at times, but those gyms are something else.
Boring, lonely. The sparring's brutal, ruthless. You know what I mean? A lot of time. If you do have a bad spar, you got a lot of time then for the doubt and the negativity to creep in. But you got to pick yourself up, dust yourself down, and go again. And coming through the other side of it, it toughens you up, and not just toughens you up, but you ask yourself, how much do you really want it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because if you want it, this is what it takes.
Absolutely.
And with Tyler Denny, we were discussing him earlier. Andy, you were talking about how he gets up close. It's bone up against bone. I guess he could try and make it very horrible for you on Saturday night. Is that what you're expecting?
It's what we're prepared for. It's what we're prepared for. Who wants to come up close, we'll fight up close. Wants to fight long, we'll fight long. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go in there, and once that bell goes, I dictate what I want to do. I'm not going to dictate to him. I've had enough experience. I've been in with enough fighters to know how to negate what he's going to do. So listen, let's see what happens. I'm looking forward to it, and it'll definitely be fun.
Something I wanted to ask you about the Austin Williams fight was that definitely once, maybe twice, you had your knees dipped.
Yep.
You got hit with a left-handed. You obviously felt it.
Yep.
How was that experience?
Do you know what? It was I didn't panic as much as I thought I would. To be fair, I didn't panic as much as I thought I would, because prior to the fight I had this conversation with Ricky. He said, listen, you're going in there with a big puncher, you can't swim without getting wet, so if this does happen, this is how you react. And instantly my mind went straight back to what he was saying. So as he got cracked, my knees dipped, I just held on to him for as long as I can, cleared my mind, cleared my legs, make sure I was alright, and then was back on it.
Hamza, sorry, just quickly before we let you go.
Yep.
A lot of people are going to be talking about this show.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to be talking about what happens on Saturday night. After your fight, what do you think the world will be saying about Hamza Sheeraz?
What they've been saying, Dev, what they've been saying, great things, and he's going to go on to become a world champion.
Best of luck to you, Hamza Sheeraz. We're going to swap you out.
Cheers,
bring
guys.
Johnny Nelson
Thank you
back
very
in.
much.
Looking good. I need to get me them trousers. I don't think they work for me, if I'm honest. That is Hamza Sheeraz, a superstar in the making, and here is the superstar, full stop, Mr. Johnny Nelson. Great to have you back.
That was a quick swap.
Now, Johnny Nelson is a man who could get away with white trousers and white loafers. I mean, I would never even entertain leaving the house wearing white trousers and white loafers.
You've not seen me eat.
It's filling up here. We can see the fans starting to join. A little bit of evening coming in as well. I love the setting. This is what we wanted with Leicester Square for a grand arrival.
It's romantic.
Are you feeling romantic, Johnny?
I'm feeling romantic, man, all week.
Johnny Nelson is feeling the romance tonight. Andy Clark, are you feeling that romance?
I wasn't, and then when he started going on and on about boxing foreplay, all of a sudden I was.
There we are. See, we're all in the same room.
It's in the air early in the week.
There is something in the air tonight here in Leicester Square. I think very shortly we're going to see the promoters do their walk, as something that we've seen for those who've been following the other Riyadh season shows. The promoters kind of walk either together or one before the other, which is always a nice point of contention. But just another point to Frank and Eddie working together. Isn't this great?
It is, yeah. It really is. It's very entertaining as well, because they're massively competitive, and as you saw at the 5 versus 5, they really, really want to win. That's in their DNA. It's their lifeblood. Frank's been very successful for a long time. So was Eddie. Eddie was, kind of born into a successful family. So the juice for them is not just the bottom line. It's the buzz you get from winning, isn't it? That's what they're after.
These two together, and they probably hate hearing this, are probably the best boxing brains in the world when it comes to promoting. And if they can work together in harmony, they could conquer the world. But I suppose it's the nature of the beast. And
this town ain't big enough for the both of us.
That's right. Two bulls can't live in a pen. So at the moment they're working well together, and I think they're both have got pedigree. They both have showed their skill, their talent above everybody and anybody around the world. And so let's enjoy it while it lasts.
Well, we had that brilliant 5 versus 5 event, Queensberry versus Matchroom. That was in Riyadh. That was back in June. And I think we're going to head over now to Thomas Treiber, who's going to welcome the promoters.
Let's welcome Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing and International Boxing Hall of Fame promoter, Mr. Frank Warren of Queensberry Promotions.
Well, here come Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren. Of course, that 5 versus 5 that I referenced was back in June. It was a very successful night for Queensberry, I think it's safe to say that. But Eddie Hearn says if he picks up the win on Saturday, it counts for 20 points.
When do you ever see this? The promoters are getting the walk, getting the red carpet. They're as big as the fighters they're talking about, they're trying to build up. It's just changed.
Welcome to Riyadh season, Johnny Nelson. This is how they do things. Very regal from Frank. I'm loving the sort of, there's a presidential air to how Frank Warren takes the walk. And this one does feel different to the 5 versus 5. This is, if this was a chessboard, it feels like Frank making an attack on the king of Eddie Hearn.
Eddie's going to run across and give him a football slide, drop him. Trust me, keep an eye on him.
I'll tell you what Frank should have done, what Queensberry should have done, is they should have saved any kind of forfeit for a future date after the 5 versus 5. And then what Frank could have done was he could have made Eddie go in front of him down the red carpet, kind of scattering rose petals for him to walk over or something like that.
Beautiful.
I don't think he'd do it, but, you know, you can ask. But it's a big,
big
it
cost
night.
the right few quid. There's always a number.
It's a huge night, as we know. And any Joshua night for Eddie throughout Anthony's entire career has been a really, really big night.
I'm sorry, but Eddie's my favourite. He's my favourite. I like everything about
But he badly needs Joshua to win on Saturday, Eddie.
He does. He badly needs Joshua to win, and you got to wonder, in a world where Anthony Joshua gets knocked out by Daniel Dubois on Saturday, what would that mean? How would Eddie front it? I don't know.
I don't even think he wants to even contemplate that.
Well, let's see what Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren are contemplating with Ali
Right,
Drew.
both of you are actually working together, but against each other on this one. It is another Matchroom v Queensberry. Frank, I'll start with you. Your man is going in as the champion. How are you feeling about all this?
I'm excited. I think we've got a fabulous show on a great fight on Saturday night. And it's going to be an all-action fight. They're both massive, massive big punchers. Won't go the distance, but it's going to be really exciting while it lasts.
Both of you have been with the main event fighters for their entire pro career. How does this stack up compared to other fight nights?
Yeah, obviously, I think I do rank as AJ's #1 fan. And, he's a friend. I know how hard he's worked over the years. We've had our highs and our lows. And to see him make history as a 3-time world heavyweight champion would be, an incredible moment for him. And we'd be very proud. And we're also aware of the challenge. I think most people believe AJ's the favourite in the fight, but Daniel is a very live underdog. He's dangerous. He punches very hard. Be interesting to see how he can deal with this and the emotion on the night. But like Frank said, anything can happen in this fight, and that's the beauty of the heavyweight division. That's why 96,000 people will be crammed into Wembley Stadium for an incredible undercard. I mean, we've also got Josh Warrington against Cacace, another Queensberry Matchroom lineup, and despite the 10-0 defeat, kind of feel like AJ Dubois carries 20 points, so we must win this one on Saturday.
In terms of big fight nights, how does this one compare for you, Frank?
It's huge. I mean, it's 96,000 people. That's all you need to know. It's the biggest attendance ever in Europe for a fight. That says it all, and that's how it should be as well. It's a tremendous card, Wembley Special Riyadh season. It's an unbelievable competitive fight card with great fights all the way through. Don't blink. Every fight is going to be an absolute barnstormer, every one of them.
How good is it to have a Riyadh season here in London?
Fabulous. I mean, look at it. Everybody's come out for it. This is what it's all about. It's big-time boxing. It's boxing at the highest level. It's cards that we never ever thought Eddie and I couldn't put a card together like this, because it's the fact that it's being sponsored and it's being put together in association with Riyadh season makes it work. So it's been unbelievable year for boxing. It's been dynamic change in the ground shifting as far as what's happening in the sport because of Riyadh season. You know, these great fights, these fabulous heavyweight division fights. You know, suddenly the heavyweight division is just on fire. And we're going to see some seriously hot, burning flames with these two guys throwing these big punches on Saturday night. It's going to be something extra special and exciting.
Yeah, something maybe fans haven't got to experience yet in the UK.
Yeah, and, you know, the fight we saw it in Los Angeles recently. We've seen it in Riyadh. And, you know, I know that a lot of people talk about His Excellency, but to see the comments from British fight fans and American fight fans asking to bring Riyadh season to London or to Los Angeles, we never thought we'd see Riyadh season in London. And I'm glad we have, because it's a massive shot in the arm for British boxing. You know, as Frank said, this whole project has really been less than a year, 11 months since the first Riyadh season event, and we're getting to see all the big fights, all the big cards. You know, not just Riyadh season London coming up, but Bivol Beterbiev coming up in just over 3 weeks. For me, probably the best fight in boxing. And then, of course, the Fury-Usyk rematch in December. So, you know, an amazing run for the sport, and we've got to enjoy it, you know. And I think the entire card on Saturday, fantastic. Throwing a bit of Liam Gallagher, Sweet Caroline. I think, you know, Turki Al-Sheikh is not going to quite believe what he sees on Saturday when he feels the energy from the British fight fans.
When he hears it, it's going to be amazing. You know, this is probably one of the biggest sporting events to take place in this country. There's no doubt about it. And it's going to be, as I say, I keep emphasising how special it is. Watch it. You haven't got a ticket, and I don't think, you know, you can't really, I think there's only a couple left. If you haven't got a ticket, watch it on pay-per-view, because you will see something special. This is going to be a special night of boxing, topped off with an unbelievable competitive heavyweight fight.
It certainly is. It's going to be spectacular, and best of luck to both of you.
Well, I make Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn absolutely right. We have got something so special. And didn't they sell it well? I mean, that I can't wait to hear. Look, maybe this is a guilty pleasure. I can't wait to hear Sweet Caroline sung by 96,000 people. Maybe that's just me.
No, I agree. It's never really gotten old for me. It's just, you know, it's become synonymous now with big-time boxing in the UK. Well, in the world, you know, even in America they want to get it on. But, yeah, and of course the Rocky tune belts out now on cue.
It's all happening. It's all happening. Now there's even more of a Hollywood feel here. The Rocky theme has come on. There was something that was mentioned there about heavyweights. And it feels like the heavyweight division, with the onset of Riyadh season, has really come to life. We are seeing so many brilliant fights. Fighters getting career best wins. Fighters who are down suddenly going up. Fighters who are up suddenly coming down. This has really reinvigorated the heavyweight division, Andy.
It has, and there is nothing like the heavyweight division, because boxing is a sport of unimaginably high stakes, but particularly at heavyweight, because nobody's looking to go in there and win on points. No one. You're looking to win by knockout, and if you live that life, then you increase the risk of getting knocked out yourself, and that can be a very devastating thing to happen to somebody. It can be very, very difficult to get over, and they all have to make their peace with that is the dice that they roll every time that they get in there. It makes it tense to watch. You know, if you've got a vested interest like Eddie and Frank, as experienced as they are, I mean, we'll ask them actually, does it get any easier to watch it when you know what can happen? And as a crowd, as an audience, there's just nothing like it when you see it. It just grabs a hold of you in a way that no other moment in sport possibly can. And I don't think that'll ever change. And that's one of the reasons why boxing will always be boxing, and the single greatest sport the world has ever and will ever know.
Oh, I love that. I love that. But yeah, listen, the blue ribbon division is really the heavyweight division, and it has come to life. And we have seen fights that maybe we didn't think we were going to see, maybe fights that got delayed or couldn't be agreed. We've seen Fury versus Usyk. It looked like we were going to see Joshua versus Wilder at one point, but those plans got ruined by fighters coming in the way. We're seeing the fights now, Matt.
Yeah, and look, you know, depends how it goes on Saturday night, but, you know, if AJ was to come through and Fury was to beat Usyk, surely we're going to see AJ and Fury for undisputed. You know, which if things aligned for that to happen, but if that did happen, you'd think, wow. When we were thinking it, talking about it, and hoping for it, it never happened. Like way back. And then we finally got there, but you never get there how you think you're going to get there. But as long as you get there in the end, it doesn't matter.
Can you see that, Johnny, as part of a kind of a bigger plan? Of course, this is a huge fight, but it's almost a semi-finalish kind of feel to it. There's no doubt Fury Usyk 2 is coming up. These are the 4 big heavyweights right now.
I think AJ Fury can always happen. Even if they box each other in 5 years' time, it would always create that excitement, that buzz. Oh, it's happening now, and maybe getting each other at the right time, at the peak at both times. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get that. We're going to get a couple of shot one versions of each other. The fight could happen, and because now these promoters are working together. But it's a case of the desire down to the fighters now, because they're in a very lucrative, strong position. You've got to look at the Usyk Fury fight. If Fury loses, it's the fashion of the loss, how he deals with it. Because these guys have got paid a lot of money, so I don't think money's going to be their god or their motivation for this. It's about getting up there, getting himself in the ring to fight. I think for AJ, he can't afford to slip up here, because again, you talk about the Fury and even a one fight after that. Again, these could make a difference to the mindset of fighters. So it's all make-believe until they step up those steps and get in the ring.
It is, but I want to know what you three think of this. Given what Matt said about you never know what's going to happen. If AJ does beat Dubois, do you think there'll be a temptation then to say, let's do AJ Fury next? And then the winner of that will give Usyk a few quid and he can wait. Then the winner of AJ against Fury can fight Usyk for undisputed. And just get that fight made, rather than wait in case Fury doesn't beat Usyk and it just never happens.
So in make-believe world, if Usyk decides to sit back and let these guys fight it out, could I see it happening? Well, yeah, I can see it happening, because now Usyk's around and he's the bogeyman, and he's proved that he's a bogeyman. So if these guys didn't have to fight him, rather than fight each other, I think that's the choice he'd have. But Usyk's in the way, regardless of what happens. He's the dream breaker. So unless Usyk grants them like he granted the IBF, here you are, here's my gift to you. He's in a great position.
Yeah, I mean, look, you just never know what could happen. You've asked that question to the three of us. You never know. If this current world with Riyadh season and boxing, any scenario can play out. I just think it would take a lot for Alexander Usyk to say, no, let me bin off my fight with Tyson Fury, my huge money-spinning rematch, after having won the first fight. Because, in theory, he could win that again, and he's even better, even more of a respected champion.
Usyk seems to be the kind of guy that he doesn't play that more notes on the end of my paycheck, and I think it's more of an honour thing for him, even though he's getting paid handsomely. So I don't think he'll play that silly game. I just don't think he will. I just don't think he's that kind of character.
I think we're too far down the line with it now. I think, the fight's on, isn't it? Usyk Fury. I think that goes ahead. I think Fury will want it. It was a close fight last time. He'll believe that he can improve on the performance. He'll have analysed his performance, thinking I could do this different, do that different, and I'll get the win. And then, the fight with AJ then was even all the more bigger if AJ beats Dubois. But that's a big if.
It's a big if. We're expecting to hear from Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn very shortly, who are going to join us up here. But let me ask you this, Andy. If this result goes a certain way on Saturday, could this be the end of the love-in between Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn? Are they going to be enemies? If say, Dubois knocks out Joshua, and I don't know, what would happen to the relationship?
I would probably describe it as a fairly fragile romance from the beginning, if I'm honest. But that's always going to be the case when you've got two elite level operators who are trying to share the same space.
Does it seem like an arranged marriage?
Yeah, there you go. They're not really used to sharing. They don't really. It's not like they won't do it, because they are doing it. But their nature is that they're always going to want to dominate. It's their nature to want to do that. So this kind of entente cordiale, which is being conducted at the minute, is working, and then maybe they're getting used to it. But that competitive instinct to always want to outdo each other, even if there wasn't a history there between the families, it will just it will just always be there.
Do you agree with that, Matt?
Yeah, look, like you say, it's like, this town ain't big enough for the both of us scenario again, isn't it? You know, they both want to be top, don't they? Because they wouldn't be where they were if they didn't have that competitive spirit inside them. They want to be the best.
Something that Daniel Dubois said earlier in the week, which caught me off guard a little bit. He says he feels like he's actually the more experienced fighter because he's been boxing since he was 9 years old. AJ came to the sport very late. So whilst the public is looking at Anthony Joshua as the experienced guy, the theme of experience versus youth, Daniel Dubois believes he is the man with experience.
You know what? It probably is, and again, I'm the example. The amateurs, you know, to 90% of professional fighters out there, doesn't mean anything in the professional game. A guy like me shouldn't have 13 amateur fights, winning only 3, and end up setting a record of world title defences as a professional. It doesn't mean anything. It's only the really good elite ones like Naz, like Usyk, that were brilliant amateurs and brilliant pros. There's only a few of them that can do that. So when Daniel's saying that, I understand what he's saying. He's got more miles on the clock. But that doesn't mean I'm going to be better than you because I've done more than you. It might mean I'm more tired than you. It might mean I was better at that. That's just how it is.
There's an interesting comment from Daniel about the experience. What did you make of it?
Well, Joshua's the more experienced in terms of his professional career, but he makes a valid point, and the point he's making is quite simply that he's been doing this a really long time, that this has been hardwired into him from a really young age, drilled repeatedly. Those instincts have been there for forever. That's what it'll feel like, and this has been his goal, his aim, his wish, his desire for as long as he can really remember. So there's some validity to it, but you can't look at their professional resumes and say that he's the more experienced of the two. That just doesn't make sense.
It's the opportunity for Anthony Joshua to become a 3-time world heavyweight champion on Saturday. He'd join a very elite club with a win like that, having done it 3 times. That's the stuff of legend, really, Matt.
Without any shadow of a doubt. And when you've achieved what he's achieved and you've earned what he's earned, to still be motivated, I guess it is legacy that you're chasing now. You know, he's going to be a long time retired. He's 34 now, nearly 35. You know, he looks fresh for it, really. Considering he's had some hard fights and everything, he looks physically, even when you're talking to him, seems very sharp still. Not only would he become a 3 times heavyweight champion of the world, like you say, joining a very, very elite group of heavyweights, it does keep that fight with Fury, that, you know, the fight, you know, if Fury's to beat Usyk, undisputed, it keeps that alive as well. So, you know, obviously Fury's got to be, there's still ifs and buts and maybes, but, you know, it keeps it alive.
Do you think that's driving him? Because, listen, he's made generational wealth. His kids won't have to work. Their kids won't have to work. He certainly doesn't have to work. Is a future fight with Tyson Fury, that rivalry, do you think that's what's keeping him in the game?
So I'm quite sure for a few years now, both Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua don't have to box. I suppose it's like watching a load of Premiership millionaires running around the pitch playing football. They do it because of the love of the sport. You start off for the love of the sport, then you fall into, God, I've got to make some money. When you made mad money, you're still fit enough to do it. Then it's back for the love of the sport. Now it's about pride and love of the sport. That's who Anthony Joshua is. That's who Tyson Fury is. And so these guys are in a unique position. Your Mayweathers have been in that position. Your Ali's are in that position. Only few fighters get into that position. And that's when you see history makers. Because these guys do it for the love of the sport.
Well, let's hear from the promoters, Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren, who are going to join us.
Let's get Frank.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Great to see you, gentlemen. Let's just take a moment to look around. We're in Leicester Square. It's grand arrivals of Fight Week. Have you ever seen anything like it?
No, certainly not in boxing, that's for sure. We were just saying over there, Eddie and myself, that this is something, I've not seen anything like this in America even, and all the big fights that I've been to as a fan as well around the world. This is something else. Look at it, I mean, look, it's like a film premiere.
It is like a film premiere. Eddie, some of that Riyadh season magic being sprinkled on London.
If you look at the lilac carpet, I mean, I don't know how much it's cost, but it's pretty much the whole length of Leicester Square. You know, it could carpet 4 or 5 large semi-detached houses.
I know where that's going tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And I wouldn't mind it actually in the lounge, I'll be honest. But we're open air Leicester Square. I mean, you said, have we ever seen anything like this before? Yes, for some of the biggest film premieres in the world. But this is the boxing premiere ahead of the unveiling on Saturday night of Riyadh season, the Wembley edition. One of the best cards I think we've ever seen. You know, I think it's quite unusual for me and Frank both to say we couldn't put on a card like this. You know, if we had Dubois against Joshua, we wouldn't be having the depth of what you're seeing on Saturday night. There's some brilliant 50-50 matchups, and I think the main event, as it draws closer, is getting everybody's attention as what it is and what it should be known as, which is a tremendous World Heavyweight Championship fight between two very dangerous Brits.
Eddie, I remember speaking to you ahead of the Francis Ngannou fight, and you were nervous. You'd seen what Francis Ngannou could do. You'd heard the stories about how hard he hits. How nervous are you about Daniel Dubois?
Always nervous, but I think that the key with the Ngannou fight was the unknown. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Tyson Fury was telling me that week, this guy's chin is unbelievable. I hit him with a kitchen sink and he punches so hard. And, you know, the bum was going completely, and I was listening to him thinking, with Daniel, we know he's really good. You know, it's not, people keep saying, Chisora was having a go at me. You seem to be giving Daniel Dubois a lot of respect. Yeah, because I rate him. I really do. You know, and coming off those two defeats, we have to give him respect, and he's gained the credibility. And I think Joshua has applied his efforts into camp accordingly. It's a very dangerous fight. Well, we're favourite. I think even, Frank, I was going to say Frank would admit that, but don't be silly. But, it's a very, very competitive fight. Daniel's on a great run, so is AJ. And I think the key to this fight is both guys in career best form, physically and mentally.
With regard to that, this is one for both of you, because you've been with AJ all the way through and you've done loads and loads of heavyweight title fights. Do you ever get used to just the sheer jeopardy of it and the unimaginably high stakes of top-level heavyweight boxing, where really anything can happen? It's a bit of a cliche in the sport, but in there with the big boys, anything can happen.
It's because of the punch power, because of what they carry in their fists. Especially, big punchers. They're both massive punchers. And let's get it right. Neither of us want to see our guy take the first big punch. Neither of us want to do that, because I think that's going to be the telling moment in the fight. But it's going to happen. It's not going to go the distance, because these styles of these guys will not allow that to happen. They're not that type of fighters. They're very, when they've got a guy in trouble, they're both good finishers. They're very good finishers. So it's who's going to blink first, who's going to get caught with a counter, because I think that's going to be the key to it. I don't think it'll be somebody throwing the perfect shot. I think as they throw something, it's the counter back, and then how they react to it. It's going to be their heart and their minds. Have I got a plan B? Do I want to taste that again? But it's going to be exciting. There's no doubt about it. And everybody's got a case for who can win the fight. But the fact of the matter is, it is jeopardy for both of them. Absolute jeopardy, and that's why it's so exciting. That's why all these people are here. That's why we sold, 90-odd thousand tickets. People are there because they know it. They know what this fight is. This fight is two Brits who are on a roll, and they've shown tremendous run of form lately, and it deserves what it's getting. Because I've got to tell you something, this will be special.
It's also two heavyweights in Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois who have really come alive with Riyadh season. Anthony Joshua's two fights post-Usyk, Jermaine Franklin, Helenius, and then suddenly the last two, he looked $1 million. Daniel Dubois, his last two fights with Riyadh season, has looked $1 million as well. It feels like it's invigorated them both.
Oh, sorry.
Whoever wants it.
Neither of us really like to talk, to be honest with you.
No, we've had enough of this. We're studying off.
But I think you're right. I mean, look, Daniel coming off the Usyk, I thought he did well in the Usyk fight, really. I thought he was very competitive in that fight. Big Baby Miller was a turning point, because halfway through that fight, it looked like he could be ready to jack it here. And if he got beat, he was in a terrible place. And in comes the old man, rattles him up in the corner. And his dad played a big part in that fight, so much so that he was also in the corner for the Hrgovic fight, and he'll definitely be in the corner on Saturday night. So that's a big plus for Daniel Dubois. And Josh is in the form of his life. Ben Davison and Lee Wiley. This is not tactically a tough fight for Anthony Joshua. It's just a very dangerous fight. Unpicking the flaws of Daniel Dubois and setting traps against him is not going to be the problem. It's going to be what's coming back, and it's about being smart and being like a sniper in there and taking this guy out, because Dubois is very active. He's got great volume to his work. And I was saying to Frank, it's going to be really interesting to see how they both come out, because I don't know if Dubois can control his emotions in there on Saturday. And if he doesn't, he'll come out like he did against Hrgovic. And if he does, one way or the other, this will be over inside 3 rounds. And it could just be an almighty shootout. Or they could be a little bit more cautious. They're definitely going to be conscious of each other's power. But, you know, as you said, form of their life through Riyadh season, and neither fighter has looked better, I don't think, in their whole career.
I'm hoping for a Hagler-Hearns heavyweight fight.
That'll do.
Because that's what they got, you know. That's the power that both of them have. It will be a shootout. They're going to have to let their bombs go. I don't think it's going to be cagey at all. I don't think for either of them. Although, you know, I know that, having said that, you know, AJ was cagey in the second fight against Ruiz, but I don't think it'd be the case in this one. You know, Ruiz was pretty static. Daniel does move. You know, he's younger and he'll move. So, you know, they're going to have to let their shots go. They will let their shots go.
Well, they will both let their shots go, and we're going to have to let you go, Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn. Great to have you both. Best of luck to both of you, but mainly Frank on Saturday night. Great to see you as always, Eddie. We're going to swap you out and bring in Mr. Matt Macklin and Johnny Nelson. Two promoters in great form. And we've had the promise. They've made it pretty clear. It's going to be fireworks on Saturday night. Tactically, talk to me a little bit about tactics. What do you think? How does it play out, Matt?
I think Dubois will come out quite aggressive. I think the nerves will make that. I don't think he'll be reckless, but I think he'll be looking to get on the front foot and put AJ on the back foot and put him under pressure. Now, will AJ box, try and have a look, take the wins, soften him up with the jab and come into the fight, or will he meet him head on? I don't know. I haven't got a clue.
What are you thinking, Andy?
I think the jabs are important. They both got good jabs, but I think Joshua extends further with the jab. He punches longer with the jab, and he will want to try that out in the early stages and see if he can catch Dubois with it. And if he can get Dubois on the end of that, then Dubois got an enormous problem. So he will definitely look for that, but I don't think.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I think the jab's key. They both got good
Saturday
jabs.
Is scheduled for 12 rounds, and it will be for the IBF Heavyweight Championship of the World. Let's now welcome the participants. First, the defending champion from Greenwich, London, England. His professional record, 21 wins, 2 defeats, with 20 of his 21 wins coming by way of knockout. Let's welcome the reigning and defending IBF Heavyweight Champion of the World, Triple D, Daniel Dynamite Dubois.
Well, here comes Triple D, Daniel Dynamite Dubois, now the reigning IBF World Heavyweight Champion. And that is an ear-to-ear smile from Daniel Dubois, those suggesting that maybe he wouldn't enjoy events like this, maybe he'd be sheepish, maybe he'd be nervous. Well, I'm not sure they were right, because he is taking in every moment here the new IBF World Heavyweight Champion, and there is that IBF crown, and there is Daniel Dubois, Andy.
Didn't waste any time on that walk, did he? He did look like he was enjoying it, but he paced down that carpet, ready for the pictures, ready to have a couple of conversations with us and with our broadcast colleagues and with the media in general. And then I think he'll look to get out of here as soon as he reasonably can. But that's just him, isn't it? You know, he will admit that this is not his favourite thing in the world. He doesn't hate it. It's just... it's something he can live without.
Daniel, fight week, a huge fight week is here as you look to defend your IBF title on Saturday. How are you feeling?
Good, confident, just relaxed and just soaking it all up, soaking up the energy. It's good.
This will be your first time fighting at Wembley Stadium. How are you mentally preparing yourself for what is to come? Record-breaking crowds and the whole atmosphere.
Yeah, I'm just going to feed off of that energy and just build it up. I can't wait for it, you know. It's my time. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, you've been saying you want to fight AJ for a long time. You've been, calling out his name. You've been saying you want the fight. Is now the right time, your time, to be taking this fight?
Yeah, definitely. You guys are going to see. This is my time. I'm the man. So I need to, go out there and legitimize it. I'm the champ.
We've seen a few times in the build-up, you have said you were going to knock AJ out. Now we're in fight week. Do you stand by that? Is that how the fight goes on Saturday?
Yes, by any means necessary. Victory. That's it.
Best of luck.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Well, that is the IBF World Heavyweight Champion, Daniel Dubois. He is all business. And I'm liking Daniel Dubois this week. I'm liking the energy, I'm liking the vibe. We did an interview yesterday where he threatened to hit me, he sort of fainted. He's in good spirits, he's in a good mood.
Yeah, I think he is. He's been part of big occasions before, as we mentioned. Never one like this, but there's a first time for everything. And I've never really felt that it would get to him too much during fight week, because he's one of these fighters who he doesn't tend to overthink things, or at least you don't want him to overthink things. He gets up in the morning and he starts thinking about boxing, and he thinks about boxing all day until he goes to bed, and then he dreams about boxing.
Are you talking about yourself or Daniel Dubois?
And then he does the same thing the next day.
Yeah.
So I don't think that he will necessarily take all of this too seriously. He sees Joshua as a man who puts his trousers on one leg at a time like everybody else. And yeah, on the ring walk we might see something a little bit different. I hope we do. I hope we do see some nerves and some tension, because they should be there for an occasion like this. But I don't think they'll be obstructive.
I think I've heard Daniel Dubois described as inexperienced, but he's not really now, is he? 27 years old, he has gone through a lot. He's had ups and downs. He's gone out to Miami on a Don King show and knocked out Trevor Bryant. He's been through it.
Yeah, I don't know who you heard that from. He's not inexperienced. He's experienced enough to be at this level, and you've got to go through experiences to get wisdom. So he's well and truly deserved to be in this position now. That's what we fight for. That's why we start boxing, to get to this point in your careers. I just love the confidence when he walked down there, the track he played down. He's thinking, I've got to stand in the shoes of a champion. I've got to act like one. I've got to walk like one, talk like one. And that's what he's got to do. He's got to get the job done. And one thing I've noticed, the absence of Don Charles. I've not seen him at all week. So I'm just curious if is there any more to that, or what? Or Don's just saying, get on with it, do it yourself until comes to fight night.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the reason behind that is. I don't think there is one necessarily. I think they're just happy to have other people around him in these formative few days. He's probably got other fighters to train. Doesn't want to disrupt his own.
As a trainer, this is the time where you need to stay in the ear of your fighter, because if you're surrounded by people that don't know that the fighter you've built up, people can say negative things to you, people can put things in your head. Brendan will stick to you like glue. He sticks like glue, be constantly talking to get into your head, to believe in yourself. So I'm just curious as to see where Don is and why, what his thinking is behind this.
Well, I'm sure we'll hear from Don during the week. It was interesting yesterday, and yeah, even today, as you mentioned there. I'm sure we're going to see more of an entourage with Anthony Joshua. There was an entourage with him yesterday for the media days. Daniel Dubois was pretty much bowling about on his own. Is that just because of the stages they are in their kind of career, or is there more to it?
You know what? I don't think. I just think Daniel Dubois is that kind of guy. But AJ's been there at this stage already. He knows how it works. He knows what the protocol is, and so he's been there, done that. So he's very comfortable with the situation. Daniel just doesn't.
How impressed have we been with the redemption of Daniel Dubois?
Very impressed. I think probably the last two wins were his biggest wins, his best wins, of his career, against probably the best opponents. Certainly the Hrgovic one. Yeah, brilliant. Look, like I said, timing-wise, he's in the form he wants to be in going into the biggest fight of his life, and he is.
Well, let's hear from the man himself, Dynamite Daniel Dubois. Joining us here. Thank you for joining us, Daniel. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm all right. Yeah.
You are all right, aren't you? Do you know what? That was an ear-to-ear smile. You're loving this.
Just chilling, man. Just chilling. Let's soak up the crowd and let the rituals begin.
Is this kind of how you're seeing Saturday? Because it will be 96,000 people. Are you going to harness their energy?
For sure. I'm going to feed off of that big time. 96,000, that's a lot of energy in the ring, and I'm looking forward to everything, the ring walk, everything.
So do you use visualisation techniques ahead of Saturday? Will you kind of picture in your mind what it'll be like with 96,000 people, so that will you get there in the afternoon and make the walk from the dressing room to the ring?
I'm not going to fill you guys in too much of all that, but I know what I got to do. My team's strong, and I'm ready to go out there and just perform and come out with a devastating victory.
And Matt, we was talking about the kind of redemption of Daniel Dubois. You've been impressed with particularly the last couple of fights.
Yeah, I was saying, the fight with Hrgovic, you got tough in there, got hot and heavy, and you bit down in your gum shield, you dug deep, and you found something extra and came through it.
You have to, man. This is boxing.
So the confidence of that going into this fight, that's what you would want.
Of course, yeah. That was just building off of them 2 fights, redeeming myself, and yeah. Now I'm the champ. I've got the title. I've got to hold on to it and, go further, push further.
Did you always, I'm sure you did always, so I'm asking a question I kind of know the answer to, but when you were coming through the ranks, I'm sure you thought somewhere down the line, you and Anthony Joshua would cross paths.
Yeah, it was talked about a lot, I suppose, at the start of our careers, and that we were going to cross paths, so, yes, I think...
Did you think it would take this long to get there?
Nah. No. Listen, it ain't been that long, to be fair. It's just I've been through ups and downs, had my experience. Now I'm ready.
So we were just talking about the team before you joined us, and we haven't seen Don yet this week. Is Don just happy to leave you to it for the first couple of days?
I'm not sure where he is. I mean, we've got a lot of guys here. As long as he's there on Saturday in the ring in my corner, that's all I need.
Daniel, I've heard a lot of people talk about it's whoever lands first in this fight. You're both big hitters. Do you agree with that? Is this about whoever lands the first big punch?
Yeah, heavyweights, that's what they expect. So, I'm going to use my skills, my boxing experience, and put it all together.
A lot of people are talking about the Hrgovic fight, the number of right hands you took. Ultimately, you came through. But people are saying if he takes those right hands from Anthony Joshua, it's good night. Forget about it.
People got a lot of shit to say, but that was Hrgovic. That's a different style, different fighter. I know I'm prepared. I've covered all of my weaknesses before. I'm ready.
Everyone's talking about the power that you both possess, but you both got good jabs as well. Do you think you can win the battle of the jabs?
It could well boil down to that. Wherever it takes, by any means necessary.
I love that. That is one of the Daniel Dubois key lines ahead of all fights, whatever means necessary. Daniel, we're going to let you go. Best of luck. Go and enjoy it. Keep smiling.
Yeah, good stuff.
I have to confirm there, I just received a fist bump from Daniel Dubois, and I'm not sure I can move my hand anymore. He really follows through with those fist bumps. The guy's different. Have you had one yet?
No, I've avoided it, if I'm honest.
Guy's an absolute animal, but he's in good spirits, right?
Oh, he looks happy, he looks relaxed. He looks how you'd want him to look.
And he talked about Don. You mentioned that Don's not there. He's like, I'm sure Don's here somewhere, but he didn't seem concerned. So maybe Don is around here somewhere. Don Charles.
Listen, horses for courses. That's just how I'd been brought up on, and that's what I understand. I understand the logic behind your coach being with you constantly. Daniel looks very relaxed in his face, in his mannerisms, how he is. He's smiling, taking everything in. So good for him.
Well, you've just seen Anthony Joshua on your screens. He has arrived now, fist bumping the fans. There was a bit of a roar around here as he did arrive. And Wembley Stadium is nothing new for Anthony Joshua. This will be his third fight at Wembley Stadium. In theory, this is just another day at the office.
Yeah. And again, I don't think any of this, he's a stadium fighter. That's who he is. You've got some fighters that are small hall fighters, you've got some fighters that are big time fighters, and that's Anthony Joshua through and through.
It absolutely is. But this one, 96,000 people, it's the biggest one yet, Andy.
I think he might be just feeling maybe a slight blast of nostalgia there, actually, as he high-fives a few people in the crowd and takes a few selfies, going back to 2017 and
Ladies
2018
and
when it
gentlemen,
was Wembley,
let's now
Cardiff, Wembley, and
welcome
he was...
the challenger from Watford, England, a gold medalist. He now has a professional record of 28 wins, 3 defeats, with 25 of his 28 wins coming by way of knockout. Let's welcome the former 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, AJ Anthony Joshua.
Well, here is Anthony Joshua, former 2-time unified world heavyweight champion, aiming to make history on Saturday night. He will become a 3-time world heavyweight champion with a win over Daniel Dubois. He would join a very, very elite club, a club that not many heavyweights have been a part of, and a club that he believes he will be a part of on Saturday night.
Absolutely. He's resolute. He has to be, that this is going to be his night. It's fascinating talking to fighters, particularly heavyweights, about their mentality approaching a fight. They all agree they need to have that acceptance that the business you're in means that you could get knocked out, and you can use that to drive you during training, to fuel you. But then when you get to the week, you have to perform this switch where you then decide that what you previously admitted could happen definitely is not going to happen. And that's where they both are now. Tunnel vision, thinking about the win, thinking about how to best spend the next however many hours before that bell goes.
Well, speaking to Moses Italma the other day, of course, the rising heavyweight star who is in the same gym as Anthony Joshua, and Moses said that he has seen it flick with AJ. He asked AJ if he was ready, and AJ replied with an expletive and said, yes, I'm ready. So this is a man very much ready to go, resurgent under Ben Davison. Forget the old AJ, this is a new AJ.
Not many people get this, do they? Not many athletes get this. You think about individual sports and you see open-top bus parades for teams, and I've seen some homecoming parades for Olympic athletes, but for individuals, and he is the main man on this card, to get this kind of reception and have this kind of occasion, you just don't really see it in other sports. You don't really see it too much in other industries. Yes, film stars are celebrated and famous, but there's something about fighters. There always has been. That's why people write books about them. That's why people make films about them, that they have this kind of mystique. They can appear to be relatable. These two are a good example. Johnny Nelson and Matt Macklin do a great job of appearing to be relatable, normal people in the way that they talk about boxing, but they're not, because fighters are not. It's the way you're made. You cannot be. And Joshua, he's like that, isn't he? You know, he is a down-to-earth guy. He's always tried to do things the right way, do the right thing. He's got time for people. It's easy to feel like he's like someone you know, but he isn't like anyone you've ever met.
No, you're right. I think he's a really decent fella, but, you know, he's been a superstar, really, from his whole pro career. You know, to win an Olympic gold medal in London, he was just launched into the spotlight, wasn't he? And, you know, like I said, 7 years ago, getting off the canvas to beat Klitschko, you know, that shock defeat in Madison Square Garden, rebuilding, coming back, losing it again. Here he is again. It's like his star quality, his profile, his fame and popularity is on another level.
Well, there is not a street in the UK that he can walk down without being stopped, without being recognised, without being asked for selfies. It's kind of like yourself, Johnny.
AJ is going to milk this. I've seen him many times after a fight. He's like stayed there and taking pictures with absolutely everybody from the ring, and like his team saying, come on, let's get in. So I think he really is giving back to the fans. I think he's probably stung a little bit by the fans' reaction when things weren't going great, but I think he's probably fallen back in love with it again. He's thinking, this is my platform, this is what I do. I'm in fight mode now. I'll say hello to everybody and get the job done. He'll take his time. That's another 15 minutes we're waiting, mate.
Well, we are seeing fans hanging out of windows here just to catch a glimpse of Anthony Joshua. But he has gone through it. Fans can be fickle. We talked about 0 to 0. He's had those moments as well that he's had to come through, Andy.
Yeah, he absolutely has, and you feel it. You know, it's impossible not to feel it, because I mentioned that stadium tour, Wembley, Cardiff, Wembley, and he was so big at that point. We were lucky enough to cover all those fights, and you're on the inside of something, this massive machine, and you're aware at the time of just how big it is. And then, of course, he goes to America and loses to Andy Ruiz in the most unexpected circumstances, wins the rematch, but it's not in the UK. And then, of course, we have COVID, which was just the most extraordinary thing, where everything went on hold. And he boxed against Pulev, but in front of 1,000 people. And then Usyk, he gets beaten by Usyk and beaten comfortably, and then he loses a rematch, and what happened after the fight with him seizing the microphone, and that will be imprinted on people's brains. And as I said previously, the reboot, apart from Ngannou, will have escaped them to an extent. So it's been a roller coaster ride. I think at times, I remember talking to him before the Jermaine Franklin fight, and he was saying, I'm just doing this for me now, I don't really care what anyone else thinks. But you can tell from the way he said it, Matt, that he was still bruised at that point by the reaction that people had given him to losing twice to an exceptional fighter in Usyk.
It'd be impossible not to be bruised from it. You know, the scrutiny that these guys are under, their profile, their level of fame. You know, it's a cruel business, boxing, you know what I mean? 0 to 0, you know what I mean? It's nothing as ruthless as it. I mean, don't get me wrong, all sports can be ruthless to some level. But in football, you play terrible today, you're playing next week, you can redeem yourself pretty quickly. It takes a while to get yourself back up there in boxing, you know. And he'll know that, you know, because he's felt that a couple of times now. So he knows that Saturday night, if he doesn't win, he'll be getting slated again. If he wins, he's a hero again. It's that boxing, it's that brutal.
That is the fickle nature of some boxing fans. I'll tell you what's interesting here is Anthony Joshua most certainly taking his time. You could probably add together the walks of all of the other fighters tonight, and it would still probably be about half of what AJ's done so far. Not a fan hasn't got a selfie. Every fan's got a glove signed. It's nice to see.
It's really good to see. It's really good to see, because we've seen this firsthand. We've been lucky, you know. We've been there pretty much all the way, and he's a private kind of a guy, so I wouldn't say that I've ever really got to know him particularly well. But you see the scrutiny, and you see the attention, and you see the criticism. And it doesn't matter whether people claim it's personal or not personal, you will take it personally, because you are a person and people are talking about you, and they're questioning sometimes, oh, how much does he really want this? Is he really made for this? And these are people who care more about what they do than you can possibly imagine us ordinary mortals, because if they didn't, they wouldn't be where they are.
Don't take it personally, it's just business. Well, this business is very personal to me, because I am the business. Do you know what I mean? He is the boxer, he's the business. So, of course, it's personal. How can you not? But I also wonder, you know, he's soaking up there, he's smiling, he's got time for everyone. I wonder, is he thinking, there ain't going to be too many more of these? You know, he's nearly 35 years old. He's, you know, if he wins on Saturday, he's a 3-time world champion. Obviously, then they'll look to do the Fury or the Usyk rematch, whichever. But whatever way it goes, there's not going to be, you know, he's in the tail end of his career now, isn't he? So I wonder, is he more conscious to really soak it up and be present and enjoy the moment as it's happening, rather than, you know, I can't wait to get there, and then you get there and you're looking back going, oh, weren't they great days? When actually, when you were living them, you wanted to be somewhere in the future. You're actually getting into this present moment and enjoying it as it's happening in real time. You know, that's what it looks like he's doing to me.
That'll be a good question to ask him, actually, in a few minutes. Is he taking his time here for exactly the reasons you've just given? And I suspect the answer is probably yes. No, obviously never thinks it'll happen again, but boxing, we wouldn't have predicted that Saudi would become his second home, his first home, you could argue now.
Exactly.
Well, the fans have most certainly gathered here. Just a reminder where we are. This isn't a film premiere, by the way. This isn't Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise. This isn't Hollywood. This is the Riyadh season card, Wembley Stadium edition. and that Saudi magic is being sprinkled on Leicester Square. Anthony Joshua takes on Daniel Dubois on Saturday night. The IBF World Heavyweight Championship will be on the line. Anthony Joshua, you can see now, aiming to become a 3-time World Heavyweight Champion. He would join a very, very small club. Daniel Dubois looking to retain his belt, looking to show that he belongs at the elite level of heavyweights. I can't wait for this one, Andy.
No, the anticipation for it, for me, has been building for weeks, because I've always made Dubois a very, very live underdog. I do make Joshua a favourite. I think you have to. I don't think there's any logic in not doing that when you look at his resume and also recent performances. But Dubois is completely legit, and he is the champion. Let's remember, this isn't Anthony Joshua, the champion, giving a fellow Brit a voluntary because a Brit versus a Brit does good numbers. That's not what this is. He's the challenger. He'll walk first on the weekend at Wembley, which, you know, it's not something he's never done before. But that's the situation that we'll have. And having beaten Hrgovic, Dubois, as we've been saying, he is here on merit. And everybody loves an all-British fight.
Oh, absolutely.
Nothing like it.
I think that would have been the dream, really, for the Wembley Stadium edition of the Riyadh season card. Two British heavyweights who can both bang with a World Heavyweight Championship on the line. And that is most certainly what we have. Let's hear from Anthony
AJ,
Joshua.
another huge fight week begins for you. You're a seasoned pro at these, but how do you feel going into it? You know, events like this and the fans welcoming you.
It's a blessing, a big blessing. We're the most important thing for people right now, so they're all here, coming out to have a good time with us. Makes me feel important.
Yeah, how does it feel? I mean, there was a lot of autographs, a lot of pictures you just did. Do you mind that during a fight week?
Nah, not at all, because I'll never forget, I started boxing late, so I still do, I look up to a lot of people, and if I could put myself on the other side of the fence. I've been on the other side of the fence. I haven't always been on the red carpet, so I always understand, now I'm on the red carpet, how to treat people. I'm never going to just turn my nose up at people. That's just not my style.
Let's look ahead to Saturday night.
Yeah.
Got a round of applause there. Let's look ahead to Saturday night at Wembley Stadium. You have fought there 3 times before, but this time it looks like it's going to break all records in terms of the British crowd. Comparison to the other ones, how big is Saturday night?
Massive. Don't feel it at the minute, because I'm still in training camp. But I think on Saturday, I'm going to be standing behind the curtain, and they're going to say, Anthony, 10 seconds, and I'm going to walk out into the stadium, and we're going to feel that energy, and that's when it gets real. So at the minute, we're still hours away, so I'm chilled out.
Yeah, you seem more chilled out, relaxed and confident ahead of this. Is that due to the fact that your great recent performances, the new team you've got around you and the setup that you've got?
No, just my mentality is, if I draw a line and I put fear on one side and confidence on another, but I'm still going into the ring, what one am I going to choose? I'm confident, I believe in myself, and I think that's the right mentality to have.
Obviously, this is Riyadh season, Wembley edition.
Massive.
You're a Riyadh season ambassador. How proud does it make you that this is here in London?
100%. I've never had a red carpet in my life. But this is a blessing. They're doing big things. And it's good that we're doing joint ventures together now. I've been in Saudi. It's good to be home. And even though I'm home, it's not small. They've made it massive. I'm fighting a Queensbury promotion fighter as well. So it's a new age for boxing, a golden era, if you ask me. And I hope that the next generation coming through can benefit from all this as well. It's not just about our generation, it's the next generation coming through.
Definitely. Well, best of luck this week.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, he took his time coming down the purple carpet, and he seems very, very relaxed. You would expect that, because he is, as Ali said, he's a seasoned pro at this, and he will be an absolute expert now at navigating fight week, giving his energy to the right things, receiving as much energy as he can, which is what he did there. He's feeling the love and the energy of the crowd, and that's a really nice thing to have. He'll know how to do this, won't he, without taking any gas out of his tank and just feeding off it all in a positive way.
What would you say? That's 14 minutes walking down there. We knew we'd make the most of that, but that's part of control, trying to control how you can of the time. And it's even sending a message over to Daniel. He'll see that. He'll see how massive, how popular he is. And they're all little things that put you in place to get you into the psyche of the guy you're fighting.
Also, I wonder, at this age and stage in his career, is he thinking, there ain't going to be too many more of these? Yeah. Even all going well on Saturday, a win, and even if the Fury fight happens, he's in the tail end of his career now, so maybe he's thinking, you know what, I'm going to really take my time, soak it up, enjoy it. Not that he doesn't anyway, but just go that little bit more.
Yeah, I think so, because it is a very unpredictable business. We were just talking about how lucky we've been to have our careers as broadcasters overlap with his, basically, and I remember that tour, Wembley, Cardiff, Wembley, and thinking in the middle of it that a run like that was almost certainly not going to happen again, and you have to make sure you don't take it for granted, because you don't know where the next port of call might be. We wouldn't have imagined that long ago that all these big fights would be going to Riyadh season in Saudi Arabia, and a big credit to Turki Al-Sheikh for bringing a Riyadh season fight here and having one in LA, because you look around at what this is and the scale of everything, it's just a no-brainer, isn't it?
Oh, listen, we're blessed and lucky to be around at a time when all these fights are happening. The fans are, like I say, 96,000 people at Wembley Stadium. Just an unbelievable time to be involved in boxing in whatever capacity you are.
Johnny, how damaging would a defeat for him be on Saturday?
Oh, very damaging, regardless of on a public scale. Personally, it would be devastating, because he lost to Ruiz. He put that down he underestimated the opponent, came back, fixed that, showed boxing ability. Getting in there with Usyk again, he's thinking this can't happen. Went back to the drawing board, still went back to the drawing board. That didn't better him. If it was me thinking like a fighter, you've got to think to yourself, I've dotted every I and crossed every T. I've gone through every single experience. This shouldn't happen as long as I do my job. And realistically, if you go out there and you've trained to the best of your ability, you've done everything right, you should expect to win it. And if you lose, I don't think for 1 second he underestimates Danny Dubois. I don't think for 1 second he's going to dare make the mistake he made with Andy Ruiz. Not for a second. So therefore, him losing will be more devastating to him personally, because he's going to think, what else can I do to make sure this, and it would ruin him mentally, emotionally. I don't know how they talk it around, but it would ruin him mentally, emotionally, because this shouldn't happen. It shouldn't be a case. It shouldn't even be the situation. Like after he boxed Francis Ngannou, look at the reaction, the celebration afterwards. It wasn't really like he just won a world title. He thought, that's what I should be doing. This guy's like in his second professional fight. This guy shouldn't be giving me a hassle. And he just walked off as to say, I've done the job. Where most people would have been, oh my God, look what I've just done. That's the attitude he wants. He understands who he is, understands the fighter he is, and therefore he understands the responsibility and position he's in. Right now, him boxing Danny Dubois, his responsibility is to get rid of him, get the job done. Losing to him will be devastating to him on a personal level, never mind a professional level.
But what he also understands, Matt, is that particularly in his division, what you're trying to do to somebody else can be done onto you. You don't have to make any mistakes in preparation or in fight week. You don't even have to make a mistake on the night. When you've got somebody with big, heavy hands like Dubois has got, then if he lands, that can be it.
Look, Dubois is a massive puncher. AJ knows that. He's been hurt before. He's been down. It can happen. No illusions about that. So the threat's real. But at the same time, he believes in himself. He believes he's the better man, and as long as he's prepared properly and he's in good shape, form, everything, as long as he executes his game plan, he believes he'll win the fight.
Well, they've got quite a lot of duties for the rest of the week. We've got some open workouts tomorrow, then the press conference on Thursday, then the weigh-in on Friday. So quite a lot of time for them to navigate, really, before they get to fight night. And stadium fights are different, aren't they? We've been at a good few, we've been lucky like that, and it's just the sheer scale of it. The ring walk is longer, the dressing rooms are bigger. Once you're in one spot, if you're doing what we're doing, then you're not really going to move for a few hours. You just have to wrap your head around everything in a slightly different way. The fact that he's trodden that route a few times before will help him, but it has been a while, because Wembley is different as well. We've been at Spurs, but Wembley is different.
The fans don't realise this is draining. It's draining. You've done all your training. You've done all the hard work. And I go and fight thinking, why don't you do this? Ask me these questions at the beginning of training camp and stay out of the way. This is part of the job. And it's draining, mentally draining. And if you've got yourself to a certain point of isolation where you're away from all the reality of life, and then you're thrust into it, and you've got to hear our comments, you've got to hear silly questions that are thrown at you, you've got to answer them, it can just put you off balance. And it's so frustrating. So you can understand why some fighters, they seem a bit truculent, a bit rude, a bit dismissive, because they don't want to do it, they just want to fight. And after fight, yeah, I'll talk to everybody. But this is very draining on a lot of fighters. I know it's just talking, what I'm saying to you is, if you're physically putting your body through hellfire, when it comes to fight week, you don't want anything to tip over the scales.
So what did you two like to do on the day of the fight? Because that's quite a long day. You know, he's not going to get to the dressing room, I wouldn't have thought, before about 7, maybe around then, because you're expecting to be on the absolute earliest about 10 o'clock, but you don't want to get there too early because you don't want to be hanging around forever. How do you kill that time during the day?
You know, a bit of company with a few close friends or family or your team. You get up, have breakfast, go for a walk, come back, chill out, just talk about things not even related to boxing, or maybe related to boxing but definitely not specifically the fight. You just try and switch off as much as you can, and then, you know, there's a time to switch on. I think, and as you get through your career, you get better at doing that. You know, when you get in the changing rooms, right, we're here now. Getting your hands wrapped, start switching on a little bit. When you get the gloves on, you really start to switch on a bit more now. And you start hitting the pads, the butterflies are really coming now. But it's like you're letting it. That's the right time for it to come. You're letting them come now, but you don't want to be feeling like that the day before or the day of the fight, because then you're burnt. Like Johnny said, this is tiring. You know, doing the interviews, the same interviews, talking about the fight. You know you've got to do it, but it's exhausting, really. So that by the time you've weighed in, you don't even want to think about the fight. Fighters are different. I can remember Harold Bomber-Graham before me. He was like he was a scared animal. He wouldn't talk to anybody all day. He'd sit there by himself. He'd be just sat there like someone had taken his tongue out, and he just wouldn't talk to anybody in the daytime, in the dressing room. He wouldn't talk to anybody. And then Naz comes along. Naz has the same atmosphere we had in the gym, the music, everybody blasting. He found calm throughout chaos, and he felt comfortable with that. So that's what wrote, and that was a slow transition, bringing the gym atmosphere to the dressing room. And then when that time comes, when it's time to start settling down, Brendan's going to let you all make noise around there. He's going to be doing your bandages, talking to you. You've got to focus on him. You've got to cut all that out and focus on him, zone in on him. And then that's when it's fight time. They're all making noise, find calm throughout chaos. And that's where you produce cameos of brilliance, because you're doing what you do in the gym. And that's what that's what you're supposed to do.
Okay, so he's just about to wander up the steps and join us. The man himself, in the shadow of the Leicester Square Odeon.
Strangers back.
Anthony, thanks for coming over.
Thank you for having me.
We were all getting a bit misty-eyed there almost as you were making your way down the red carpet, and all the love and support you were getting from the fans, because it took us back to, honestly, us back to that ride you took us on, that stadium tour of Wembley, Cardiff, Wembley.
Yeah.
And Matt just made the point that, did you take your time over that, and are maybe going to take your time more over things like that this week, because you were a younger man then, and it maybe went past a bit too quick, and now you're older, you can appreciate it more.
Goes quick. I definitely appreciate it. I understand it a bit more. But as I said, I started boxing late. I was saying it to someone earlier. I've been on the other side of the fence. I've been on that side of the fence where I'm like waiting for someone that I respect and I want to meet. And I'm telling you, I've seen people look at me like I'm a piece of rubbish. And I'm blessed to be on the other side of the fence now, walking down the red carpet. So, because I've experienced being on that side, I'll always make sure
from my experience, I don't treat people like that. If I can, I'll give them as much time as I can until I get dragged away.
Do you see the growth of you now, the AJ now to the AJ 5?
I don't know.
Years ago?
I don't think
do you
so.
see a difference in your attitude, the difference in
I
your
think for this
your
fight-
appreciation for the sport?
Yeah. I think with this sport, you have to fall in love with it. You have to really like study. Don't take your eye off the ball. So I read a lot. I watch boxing, and for the fans as well, I work hard at it. Definitely, I want to improve. I still want to improve. But in terms of how my mindset is now, is like it's just another day in the office because it's crazy. I woke up last week and I was like, it's Sunday. 7 days from now, it's going to be Sunday again, the day after the fight, and it's going to be back home, same bed, same breakfast, nothing changes. So I was like, don't overthink it in my mind. Like for a fighter, it should be a normal procedure, minus all the 96,000 people. Get in the ring, do your job, normal procedure.
One thing it took me a while to realise about elite level sport, and it is something I've spoken to fighters about a lot recently, is that you all accept the fact really that there's not that much you can control. You can prepare as best you can.
I'm telling you,
and you never navigate. And then when the bell goes, whatever happens is whatever happens.
I'm telling you, that's exactly it. And that's whoever's put in the most work, mentally, physically, everything. That's what we love about sports. It's so raw. Like it's two of the best coming together to showcase their talent in their chosen field, and what will be, and that's what I mean. Let me get to the ring, believe in myself, be confident, and relish in that moment, man. Why not?
Just before we let you go, I've been dying to ask you about the Ngannou knockout.
Yeah.
Beautiful knockout, everything about it. The quick turn and walk away as well was tremendous. In that moment when he's getting up, or you know he's going to get up for the second time, and it's not over, you're going to need to finish him. Are you in that kind of flow state athletes talk about, where you're not really thinking about anything, it just happens? Or are you very present in that moment and really thinking about it?
I used to be in that flow state, and then opponents would still be there 6-7 rounds later. And that's the thing what I learned early on, because I started fighting good fighters early. For example, when I fought Klitschko, I dropped him in the 5th and I thought he was going to be like everyone else. But he stayed in there and I was like, this ain't normal, but it's another level of boxing. So with Ngannou, I've learned, even with Pulev, in the 3rd round I hurt him, I threw about 150 punches and he stayed in another 6 rounds later. So I just learned, control the moment. Don't let the moment control me, where normally if I hurt someone, I'm just going to go rushing in and throwing a barrage of punches. Like I'm caught up in a moment where now, if a 1-2 hurt you, it'll probably be smart enough. I'll probably be smart. The smarter option would be to throw a 1-2 again. That's a shot that hurt you in the first place. But what tends to happen, you hurt him with a 1-2, a big right hook comes, a big left hook comes, you're working him to the body. And I just learned with Ngannou is take my time. If I've hurt him once, I know I could do it again.
You seem to switch because with the Klitschko fight was that swagger. Once they're done, you just swaggered off. And the same AJ rocked up when you took out Ngannou. Is that swagger off? You thought, my job's done. Job done.
Yeah,
job done. Switched off. What's up?
Do you know what? That's like that fighter in me, man. Like we're supposed to do that. Like we all know. If you want to be a respected fighter, you have to go in and you have to demolish your opponent. There's no two ways about it. No one's coming out to see. Unfortunately, like no one wants to see a clinical performance. Even though that's what boxing's about. The purest form is setting up shots.
People want to see violence.
They want to see, and it's like
knockouts.
It's mad, isn't it? But in order to get knockouts, you've got to put yourself in a lot of danger. You're trading shots so we take away from the art of boxing in order to entertain, and that's what makes me so exciting, because I give you that. Is he going to get caught when he's doing it? Is he throwing his right hand and leaving himself open? But if I connect, it makes for a brilliant highlight reel.
Amen to that. We'll let you go on that note. Thanks very much for giving us your time. It's been very enjoyable.
Nice finish, yeah.
Those are the words really of somebody who has been in this business a long time now, and he knows the realities of it. He knows what he's getting himself into on Saturday. He knows what might or might not happen, and he's at peace with the job that he has.
I just hear a maturity. I hear a maturity about him when he's talking. You know, and that's why I asked, you know, do you see you've grown in the last 10 years? I see maturity how he does in interviews. I see maturity how he reflects on this up and coming fight. The maturity, I like that, because that's where the wisdom or the experience pays off.
There's also an appreciation of the danger that Daniel Dubois brings. He's very aware that Daniel Dubois is a very heavy-handed young man, and you look at that, the Ring Magazine top 10 right now, the guy with the highest knockout percentage is actually Daniel Dubois. There's a very real chance he gets the knockout win over Anthony Joshua on Saturday night. It's a dangerous fight.
But what he said, remember, people want to see knockouts, but they're forgetting boxing's about the sweet science. And they don't appreciate the sweet science, they appreciate the crash bang wallop. And so it seems like there's a phase where he's gone through refining the sweet science, but he said that people want to see knockouts.
People want to see knockouts. It's been a knockout lineup tonight. Thank you, Andy Clark. Thank you, Matt Macklin. Thank you, Johnny Nelson. Great to see you guys as always, and thank you for joining us. This was just day one of this incredible fight week, Leicester Square. This was just grand arrivals. Join us tomorrow for the big workout. There's even a few fights on the workout. I can't believe what is coming up this fight week, and it all culminates Saturday night. 96,000 people. Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois, the IBF World Heavyweight Championship. Stick with us this week. Thanks very much.